6 o'clock. We're going to call this meeting to order. Can I get everyone to rise to the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I want to thank everyone for coming. It is about 103 out, so I know it's hot to get here. That's why I don't have a tie and a jacket on, so I apologize, but it is very hot out. Are there any changes to the agenda?
We have one, Mayor. At the chief's request, we'd like to move 2.2 to the bottom of the awards and presentation. He's just looking to do a quick break for cake and pictures after the swearing in.
All right. Any other changes? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda with a change.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. The agenda passes with the changes.
And Mayor, can I make one quick housekeeping item? If just to remind the council to make sure, and even staff to make sure you're using mics, because when the mics aren't operational, the folks on Zoom and YouTube cannot hear us at all. So I want to make sure that we're just kind of being cognizant of when the light's off, you're mic'd. If the light's on, you're muted.
Perfect.
Makes sense to me.
All right, so we're going to start off with item number 2.1, awards presentations, appointments, and proclamations. Presentation of the fiscal year 2024-2025 audited financial statements by the city auditor. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Thank you for having me here tonight. This is the audit report for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2025. Just want to go over a few highlights, and then I can take any specific questions you have. Just beyond the table of contents is the independent auditor's report. Here we issued an unqualified audit opinion stating we found the city's books and records to be in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. This is a clean audit opinion, so something to be congratulated on once again for the city. Getting into the body of the financial statements, I'll jump past pages 4 and 5. This shows the total activity for the city, both governmental and business type activities of all assets and liabilities of the city on a full accrual basis. But I'll jump to page 6, which starts the more detailed fund presentation of the financial statements. These are your major funds, and I'd just like to highlight on page 8, you'll notice the general fund had a net increase in fund balance of just under $800,000 for the year, bringing the total general fund fund balance to just under $17.7 million. The other major funds there are operating as intended. Also like to just briefly touch on the business type activity enterprise funds on pages 10 and 11. These funds are also operating as intended. All of them except for the sanitation fund had an increase in net position. The sanitation fund has an overall negative net position balance of just over $67,000, so just something to be aware of and cognizant of going forward on your charges for services for that fund. Beyond the actual body of the financial statements, we get into the notes to the financial statements. This gives a more detailed explanation of all the significant assets and liabilities of the city. There's no new additions this year to any of those financial or to any of those footnotes, so we'll look very similar to prior years. Quite a bit of information there to read through just to get a better understanding of the long-term debt, capital assets, interfund transfers, GASB 68, pension liabilities, and so forth. Lastly, when we get to just beyond that, we get into the budget to actual comparisons for the major funds, and that starts on page 56. And then there's some historical information following that for the net pension liability. There's a 10-year history there of the activity related to your pension liability. And then after that, we get into what we call the non-major funds of the city. the individual fund balances of those, and all of those are also operating as intended. And then concluding the financial statements is another auditor's report on the internal controls. This is where we state that we didn't identify any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in the internal controls of the city. We look at the significant transaction classes of cash receipts, cash disbursements, and payroll, more specifically in those areas. And then lastly is a management report where we communicate to the city council that we didn't have any difficulties in completing the audit, didn't have any disagreements with management, didn't identify any uncorrected misstatements. So overall, another clean audit opinion for the city of Coalinga. Just like to thank Mai and her team for getting this done. You guys were a little bit behind, and this almost brings us pretty current now at this point, because we're just going to now be starting June 30, 2026 audits, and I know her team's working on getting that fiscal year closed out so we can get started on that as soon as possible. So other than that, I'll take any questions that you have now at this time.
Any questions from council? Go. When we're looking at the 67 K for the sanitation fund, what do you think that should be near understanding, that account? Do you have any suggestions?
Let me look real quick, just because that fund is mainly contracted out. You don't have a lot of capital assets, so I would say it's primarily keeping in line with your contract for the outsourcing of those services, making sure you're covering that, plus a little bit of administrative costs as well that are into that. So you're not far off, but it does maybe require a little bit of an adjustment there, because it looks like your contract services have gone up a little bit there.
Okay, and then curious, Sean, for those contract services, we do get a franchise fee for that, correct?
Yeah, we have a contract with Mid-Valley, and I think I was going to ask the question, I think that includes street sweeping services too, correct?
Let me look here.
Because I think that's what's actually bringing
Yes,
down, that's
yeah.
actually bringing down the fund balances, the street sweeping.
Yes, there is street sweeping
I don't think it
charges
has
there
to do
too.
with our solid waste contract. I think it's more geared towards what our current sanitation rates are and what the cost of service is for that.
Okay, so that's why this
That's-
is what this is then. It's because of the street sweeper, probably all the repairs that we've had to do, and the fact that, that fund is already kind of subsidizing, being subsidized, I would say, right?
Pretty much
By the
by
rest
this-
of the sanitation fund.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And then I guess my next question for you is, what would, you said that we're pretty close. When would you expect to be able to start on the next audit? What would your,
Ideally, we'd like to have that issued before the end of the year. That's typically, if those cities that are on time, we'll have them done by December 31. That then allows us a little bit of time to file the controller's report before the deadline of mid-February, so,
okay,
yeah.
all right. Any other questions from council? No? All right, thank you so much.
All right,
Appreciate
thank you.
it. You have
Appreciate
a
it.
wonderful day. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you, you're welcome.
All right, and we are going to move on, I guess, to department updates.
All right, for the fire department, not a whole lot has changed since the last meeting. We're still 3 vacancies on the firefighter side, 1 paramedic on the EMS side. A couple updates on the apparatus, though. Good news, looks like we might be getting 2 ambulances and an engine around mid to late September. The remount has really sped up. Now that they did the first one, they have an understanding of how it's done, and it's already at paint, so that's good news. And then public education, we're started an educational campaign with Jasenia. She's helping us out. It's going to be a get to know your firefighter thing, and she's already come over to the station and taken some videos and interviewed the guys, and you'll start seeing some stuff on social media, getting to know the actual employees of the fire department, but also what they do on a daily basis and things that get done when they're not running calls. So we're pretty excited about that, getting out there. And then the last thing, I'm sure some of you have seen our press release, but we were made a ISO Class 2 department. Pretty significant. I'll just read something real quick. ISO evaluates nearly 40,000 fire departments nationwide on a scale of 1 to 10. Class 1 being the best, Class 10 being that they do not meet minimum fire protection. Only 2004 in the entire nation, less than 4% were a Class 2, and your Coalinga Fire Department is a Class 2. So we're pretty excited about that. Just goes to show all the hard work that everyone put into it and all the stakeholders involved, so I just want to thank them publicly. And that's about all I have for my reports. Any questions?
Any questions from council? No? And just to clarify, with the Class 2 designator, what are the benefits for the public?
I actually have that for you. So a stronger rating can benefit Coalinga residents and business owners. Insurance companies factor in ISO ratings into how they price homeowners and commercial property policies. So a lower classification can translate into meaningful savings on insurance premiums.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We appreciate your hard work, appreciate the fire department's hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next department?
For the Coalinga Police Department, starting with the animal control officer, he handled, for the month of July, 46 calls for service, 11 loose dogs, 8 dead animals, 8 animals taken to Give Me Love, 3 citations, 6 citizens assist, 1 dog bite, 1 stray cat, 3 possible animal abuse, 3 warnings, 1 dog barking, and 1 possible animal abandonment. And traffic accidents, as you know, one of our goals is try to reduce traffic accidents. So just year-to-date, to end of July, we've had 104 calls for service to respond to traffic accidents. Of those 104, 74 were very minor, so they just exchanged names only, and we wrote 30 cases. When it comes to crime, year-to-date, we're doing really good. For the month of July, we're still holding a minus 26% in crime overall, and that's so far 34 fewer or less victims than the year before at this date. And so far, like knock on wood, we have yet to have any gang violence in the city. And that's it.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments from council?
I just want to comment and say that's a fantastic job, and hopefully we can maintain 26% all the way through. That's a pretty big deal, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you. Thanks to our management and the PD, and thanks for all the officers and everyone that's helping. So appreciate that, helping us keep being a safe town.
For the Financial Services Department, we have a lot going on, but it's always behind doors. And so for our updates, for staff, we have 1 vacancy, and we'll be going out for recruitment soon. I don't want to steal Sean's thunder, but he will elaborate on this later. But staff is gearing up to open up Fridays, effective August 28th. As Ryan had presented, we've completed the 24-25 audit, and staff is in the process of closing out 25-26 in preparation for the next audit. And then as far as project goes, staff is working on the chart of accounts. The goal is to complete it by September. And then if approved tonight, UNA is the budgeting solution that we've selected, and we plan on implementing that project in September as well. Next week, we do have a kickoff meeting with Cedar Financials, and that is the new debt collection agency for the city. So we're moving right along.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any questions or comments from council? No? Well, we appreciate all the work that you and your staff have put in, helping with to aid in the audit. And, you know, I read through some of it. I didn't read all of it yet, but it really looks quite different than it did 10 years ago. So I know it takes a long time to get financial health back, but you guys and your team have done a great job. Thank you.
And I think Jesse might be on Zoom, but I'm not sure if he's.
I may?
Oh, yep, he's ready.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So quick update, we were able, Public Works was able to abate 154 Buchanan, so that, I'm not sure if you've had a chance to drive by, but that house is gone. So kudos to our team and everybody involved. So that was a big win for us in keeping Kalinga clean. The tower that's out by the Derrick Reservoir is nearly complete. We are, I don't want to say full erection, but I think we have most of the components up that need to get put up, and we're completing the guy wire system now. The flagpoles, if you didn't notice on the way in, are up. So right in front of City Hall, 2 brand new flagpoles. Ramsey splash pad is moving right along. We expect to have the bathroom dropped next week. So big news there. We're actively getting things ready for that and anticipating being done shortly 2 to 3 weeks after that. So hopefully we might be able to squeeze a couple weeks of warm weather at the end of September. So we're keeping our fingers crossed there that we'll get that done very quickly. The food court is moving along steadily. Nothing to report there, but we do have the architectural services RFP on the agenda for today. So we're hoping to get that awarded and get the architect cooking on some of that vertical design for the food court. So moving right along there. The water line on Polk Street, the emergency resolution, we're complete there. So the water line is complete and it is fully commissioned and in service at this moment. So Cal Valley did a great job. Our team did a great job. Everybody did a great job. So a couple RFPs going out for tree services in the city, as well as the, what do they call it? The rubberized material on Elm Street. We're going on Elm Street and fixing some of the dead and dying trees, and fixing the grates that go around some of the trees. So you'll see that RFP going out quickly and hopefully back to the council in September. The California and Baker reconstruction project is moving along. We did delay it a week in talks with the school district to give them a little bit of a chance to comment and give some opinions on how that will be implemented. So we anticipate starting that the first week of September now instead of next week. But that is pending discussions with the school district at this moment. Other than that, we have Smart Sunset. Again, in concert with the school district, we will be trying to do some walk audits in early September and hopefully have some very good suggestions for alleviating some of the traffic concerns out near the school complex very soon. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? No? I have a couple questions. For the trees, we're gonna replace the trees that we take out, right?
That's the plan at this moment, yes.
Okay, and you know, we've had some trees that when we did replace them, that they replaced them with these trees that drop these like thorns that are this big. So I suggest not getting those. And those were actually recommended by an arborist, but I guess that person doesn't walk down the sidewalk because they're all over the place. And so all the time, and it creates a hazard for our public works also when they have to try and clean those up. So I would just make the suggestion that we don't get something that's gonna, you know, drop those.
At this moment, the plan is to go with Chinese elms, which they grow really fast. They do really well in this climate. That was the recommendation of our landscape architect. But we can definitely take some direction from you as when that comes back in front of you in about a month or so.
Okay. And then the California Baker Street, I've already received a few messages from concerned folks. It's already really tough to get down there. It's absolutely almost impossible, in fact, to figure it all out, especially the first couple days of school. So I know that there is some concerns from the school and from parents that are already aware that this might be happening. So can I just suggest that we make sure that, and I think you said that you are working with the school district on this, but you know, I think they do have some concerns moving forward, and they'd like to try and figure a way out that we can do it at a time that's that's gonna have the least amount of impact. But I know that there's some money tied to this too, and we may not be able to extend it for a long time. Is that correct?
It could be, Mayor. I don't have the exact dates for you at this moment, but before we go forward on a plan, I'll make sure that we have concrete dates on when this can be executed. As far as if it can wait till next summer, we will explore that option.
I appreciate that. And beyond that, you're doing a great job. You attended the league dinner with me, and you did a great job at that. And so I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other departments? Okay. Thank you to the department heads and everyone involved in that. Going to move on to item number 4, public outreach update. Yesenia?
Yes, thank you, Council and Mayor. I have some department or some updates for you for public outreach. I do have quite a bit of things to talk about, so I will talk about them briefly just to make sure we cover them all. The first thing I'm going to start off with is our city website. I wanted to give you some updates as far as our chatbot to see how it's doing, how it's been progressing. I wanted to cover a few data points. So the first one is going to be our self-resolution rate. That's the chatbot's ability to correct itself and find its own answers. Every day I log on and I have to get a daily digest of our chatbot, and it lets me know what it's missing, information that needs to be filled in, and then I have to train the chatbot every day on those rates. So it does seem rather low at 66.67. There's a few things that I cannot resolve on the website, questions that do not have anything to do with the city of Coalinga, and that will deter its kind of percentage that it's at. So any concerns on that is mostly towards miscellaneous questions that can't be directed on the chatbot. After that, it's going to be our unknown answer rate. So that's going to be the rate at which our chatbot doesn't have solutions for those answers that people or questions that they're asking. The unresolved rate is something that I'm constantly tackling every single day. As those questions come in, my chatbot is going to face more and more that it doesn't know, and I have to continue to train it. So I think within about a year's time, we'd have a much better functioning chatbot every day that it kind of learns and retrains itself. It does have site crawls though, so it's constantly crawling our website itself to be checking itself and any updated information. It crawls the chamber, the public library, as well as the school district to try to maintain that information as well. We do have ADA compliance on the website. The site accessibility score is at a 98. Again, it's never at 100% because there's constantly issues that need to be resolved that I'm uploading on a daily basis, so that it's a pretty high score. We're doing pretty great. The self-resolution does really well on the chatbot or on the website itself. It corrects a lot of what it needs to, so I only have to go in and make miscellaneous changes in order to update the chatbot. Should I move on to the next one or allow questions?
I'll tell you to stop.
You guys have any questions? Nope, keep going.
Okay, perfect. We'll move on to our Wings Over the West Side. This is a very, very exciting project. There's lots to update on that, so we're again going to do a really brief overview. We have our event planning, so we are now at weekly meetings with our team. We are going to start coordinating with our departments to include them as well. We want to make sure that our team is entirely informed and understands what's happening at the air show, so we eliminate any misconceptions, any misinformation, and any delays that might occur on the day of the event. I'm also coordinating with community partners, reaching out for sponsorships and opportunities, in-kind trades, and anything to try to get exposure for our city. We also have some improvements that we're working on, so our performer schedule is something that we're working on. We had a few edits from last year, so we want to make it as seamless as possible and remove any breaks in between our acts. We are also going to work on our mapping. We want to improve our parking as well as the event itself. We're trying to every year make it an improvement for our city so that our air show can grow more and more and it gains its popularity that it deserves. So for outreach for the Wings Over the West Side, we are also using social media is going to be our main campaign. We are sending out monthly, which are now turning into weekly campaigns. And anytime we have any event booths available, I make sure to have information for the air show there and available, and there's always people asking questions. We also have our city signages, so we're using our LED screens at this time, but we are going to move into physical signs as well and start depositing those throughout town, so that people have access to see it and are a little bit more familiar with the physical signs that are out. And then we have some interviews scheduled as well. Me and Sean will be joining ABC 30 for an interview to talk about our air show. We also have a few sponsorships that we're trying to outreach, like movie theaters, in order to run our ads. And any questions on the air show?
Any questions from council?
All right, we'll continue. Now, the fun part, social media and our city app. Our social media has been doing very, very well. When I first presented to you, our Facebook page was at 4.1K. We are now at 4.5 thousand followers. Our Instagram moved from 177 to 271. X, although it's been a low performing, has doubled. It went from 4 to 8. And then TikTok. I'm very proud of our TikTok. Again, we started off with 0 on that page. When I presented to you, it was 558. We are now at 1,010 followers. Our Facebook engagement is where all of our numbers are. It's our biggest population pool. Again, it was already established before me, so it was something that we just grew off of. Our engagement that we get the most on Facebook is going to be for our crime stats from our police department. It's also going to be our Keep Coalinga Clean, any posts that we put for that. Our Wings Over the West Side, career opportunities, and our press releases. These can range anywhere from 1,000 to 10,000 views within the week. Our stories that are uploaded, so every single time I post on any of our social medias, I also include them on our stories. I like to say that I catch a few strays of people watching our stories on accident that don't always follow us on our post, so I do like to upload those. We get an additional 500 to 1,000 views on our stories when we upload. I upload those on the day that we post them, as well as the following day to make sure in case anyone missed them. So those are additional views on top that are not on our posts that we have. Now, some trends on our social medias. Our Reels introduced more followers on Facebook than our picture post. So I tried to keep especially our city advertisements for reminders on our sweep schedules, on any code enforcement that we have. I always like to push those. And to be videos instead, and we gain anywhere between 3 to 4 followers every single time I post a video. Sorry, I'm trying to be quick. So, our Facebook stories also receive more interactions from our viewers. I get more likes on those and engagements. And then our evening and weekend posts receive the most views and interactions throughout the entire week. So if I wait to upload on a Thursday or even a Friday or on the weekend, it gets double the interactions that it does throughout the week. Now, as far as our city app, I'm going to be measuring between March and July. So our most viewed items on our city app are going to be our online pay bill, our employment opportunities, and the reports. And our social media, actually, when I create links into our websites, those also get an additional 3 to 5 links. So people do use the links, even though they're small numbers. Every single time we post, we get, again, a smaller number of people joining and using our app and our applications. Any questions on those?
Any questions?
All right, moving into Measure J. So I am part of the Measure J for informational and educational campaigns. So any social media post that needs to go out there, any flyers or any outreach that we use, I'm pushing and promoting it. I again take any opportunities to just try to spread information, correct information. So our event booths are really good locations. So far we've had attendance at the college and our city events, and we get lots of questions. People take our takeaways and seem very invested in it. We also plan on possibly pushing out a survey to try to gain some more information, so we'll have that as possible feedback for us. I'll move on really quickly to events if we have no questions for Measure J. Perfect. Events. So I'll break down what my busy schedule kind of looks like every month to see what I'm kind of doing out in the community. So in April, I attended the Coalinga College Career Fair, and then the Autism Awareness event, as well as the Splash Pad groundbreaking. In May, we did, the State Hospital had a career fair that we attended for careers. And then in June, we did the Let the Freedom Ring event with the parks. In July, we had our drone show with Chamber. We also had our Ross Grand opening. And in August, we had our National Night Out, as well as the Coalinga College Resource Fair. All of these resources were available, and we had plenty of people stopping by our booths. Some initiatives that I'm going to be taking on to promote campaigns as well as outreach are going to be for the police department. We're going to spread some outreach for e-bikes and scooters, policies, regulations, making sure everyone's informed and everyone's on the same page. We're also reaching out for our planning department for contractors, opportunities, and biddings educations. We want to make sure everyone has resources and is aware of how to work with the city. We're also working with the police department for domestic violence awareness. Our crime stats reflect that. We try to include current information to make sure that the city is informed. We're also going to push a shop local initiative to encourage our local businesses. That's something that I'm currently working on, almost done. We're going to start presenting to Sean for some drafts to review. As well as we were contacted by Workforce, which were for young adults. They offer opportunities for work. They're an agency themselves, so they work with municipalities to offer government jobs that young adults will be able to transition to. They work with as young as 14, I believe was the age, until 18. It comes at no cost to the city, and they expand on their own. They do their own outreach, and they try to fill in any positions and roles that the city might have that we'd like to offer to our young youth. And that is all.
Excellent. Any questions or comments for Jasenia? I think you just gave us so much information, we don't even have questions.
Yeah, so
Apologies.
I actually, the RFP process and training guidance, the resource that you're gonna help people come in to bid so they can understand our processes and procedures. Who's working with you on that?
So Jesse will be assisting me to help me gather some information. We do have our own, we work with, what is it, our partners?
I'll jump in here. I'll help out. So, DIR. So, getting the information to the folks that need it is really going to be partnering with DIR, which is going to be a lot easier once they open their office down in the plaza. So, working with DIR, working with CSLB, working with those kind of agencies, the Builders Exchange in Fresno, and letting those our local contractors know that the resources are out there for them is part of our outreach program.
Yeah, I think it's very important because I think most people get a little intimidated on the processes, and locally having it be local and teaching our local businesses and contractors how to move forward through our procedures would be super wise to try to keep it here locally. So I think that's a great idea. I think that's super important.
Yeah, we want to expand it beyond just, because I know there's a big push on public works projects to make sure contractors understand, because that's a very robust process when you're applying for a public works process, but also understanding where to sign up on the website for RFPs and different types of proposals that, you can just, as long as you have a business license and you have the proper license and, insurance and everything, you can do business with the city, not necessarily just on a public works project, but you can bid on other projects as well. That we definitely want to see local businesses bidding on and offering services too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I like that.
Do you plan on doing a workshop type of thing with some of the local businesses and bringing them in? Because I have heard the same thing where people aren't they're having difficulties even signing up on the listserv to be able to get the information. They think they've signed up, but we have a couple different listserv type of things that you can sign up for, and I think that one is kind of in the back end of the website. And so when you sign up for the one, you're given all these opportunities, but none of them are to get the RFP stuff. So you have to go to a separate place, and I think it'd be helpful to just get the public kind of informed.
Yeah, we have tutorials that we can put together. Jasenia's been really good about kind of doing screen shares and basically showing step by step on, like, say, how to use the app. We've done that. We can do it on the website as well on how to sign up and set
That'd be
up
perfect.
something. We could definitely look into something like that too.
And then also, as far as tutorials, are we still also working on the one to teach the public how to pay from their bank?
Yes,
So that
actually.
they don't get
yes.
charged?
Yeah.
I walk through someone at least once a week on how to do this. I think that it's just difficult for people to understand exactly how to do it.
I think
but-
something might have been posted already. Is that correct? Or is that one we're
We
just?
have 2 drafts
We
currently
have 2
under
drafts, yeah.
revision.
Oh,
Yeah, there was a
okay.
few things that we had to change because depending on your banks, they use different verbiages.
Yeah.
So it can be a little bit confusing depending on the type of bank that you have. The verbiage will be different when you're signing up.
Okay.
Are we having a meeting for these RFPs that we know are coming online 30 days ahead before the RFP gets opened up for bid processing?
Do we have a meeting, you said?
Yeah, are we meeting like contractors and giving them an ability to come in physically so we can go over the RFP if there's any questions or anything?
Not typically on RFPs. They're typically posted, and then all the directions on what to prepare. a lot of the RFPs, when you're talking about like strictly like services, like professional services, other types of things, like similar to like what the council may be approving tonight, it pretty much it's pretty drawn out in terms of what's expected, what documents you need, a cover letter, you need to make sure you have references, that kind of stuff. It really breaks down. When it comes to actually bidding projects, that's where, you know, the understanding of how that process works and what's required as part of a legal bid is where we're trying to provide some of the resources for them to reach out to those entities that really help you, because you have to get certified and you have to be registered, and there's processes that, but these agencies can help them get there. So we're trying to point them in the right direction
Yeah, I
to
think
get
it would
the
be really
resources.
helpful for local contractors and businesses if we had something scheduled 30 days before these RFPs are due, so they can physically come in here and you can.
We do pre-bid meetings,
Yeah,
so
pre-bid.
when during the bid process, there's like usually mandatory pre-bid. So if you're planning on bidding, you would show up, and that's usually either virtual or in person.
Yeah, that'd be great to
Yeah.
get that online. Beat that one up.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we are going to move on to number, let's see, we're going to move on to the Code Enforcement Report, July 2026. Yaneth Ibarra, Code Enforcement.
Good evening, all. So for the month of July, I opened 28 new cases, and I was able to close 35 cases. I also issued 5 administrative citations. Currently, I have a total of 102 ongoing cases that I continue to monitor and address. And as part of my continued efforts with the Keep Kalinga Clean initiative, I remain focused on helping maintaining a clean and safe community. Also, just how Jesse mentioned, we were able to abate one of the properties on Buchanan, and I was also able to obtain another abatement warrant for another property that is in significant need of repair and also may need demolition. I also continue to make contact with business owners and residents to address any concerns, answer any questions, and encourage everyone for compliance. That's all I have. Any questions?
Any questions from council? No? I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You're doing a great job. All right, and looks like we're going to circle back because I don't think everyone came to listen to the audit. So we're going to circle back to swearing in of corporals, officers, and new dispatchers. I'm going to turn this over to the chief.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, City Manager, staff, council, and community. This evening, we'll be officially swearing in 4 dispatchers, police dispatchers, 5 police officers, and promoting 3 officers to the rank of corporal. And at this time, I'd like to start off with our full-time dispatcher, Julia Magaleno. Just some bio on each of these. Dispatcher Magaleno is a resident of Kalinga, serves as a full-time public safety dispatcher with an educational background in criminal justice. She is dedicated to serving her community. In her time off, Dispatcher Magaleno enjoys spending time with her family and friends. Congratulations, Julia. Okay. Next is Dispatcher Maria Torres. Maria is a resident of Kalinga, began her career with the Kalinga Police Department in August of 2025 as a full-time public safety dispatcher. In her time off, Maria enjoys spending quality time with her husband and her 2 sons. She is honored to continue serving her community. Congratulations, Maria. Next is Dispatcher Kyrie Dole. Kyrie is a resident of Kalinga and started at the PD back in June of this year as a part-time dispatcher trainee. She's excited to be part of the Kalinga team and is hopeful of her abilities to become a great dispatcher under the guidance of her trainers. She couldn't be more grateful and excited for her career opportunities. Congratulations. Next is Dispatcher Dulce Garcia. Dulce Garcia also started at the PD back in June of this year as a part-time dispatch trainee. She has been a lifelong resident of Coalinga and is excited to begin her career in public safety while serving the community she has always called home. She has earned an associate degree in administration of justice and focus in correction from Coalinga College. She is currently completing her additional associate degree in administration of justice. She's looking forward to the growing professionally and contributing to the safety and well-being of her community. Congratulations, Dulce. Next, starting with our newest officer, Jennifer Santos. Officer Santos, a resident of Coalinga, recently graduated from the Hanford Police Academy. She is honored to begin her career in law enforcement with the Coalinga Police Department. She is grateful for the support of her family who have encouraged her throughout her journey. She enjoys helping people in any situation because you get to see the positive impact you have. What inspired her to become an officer was an experience she had as a child when an officer took the time out of his day to help her family during the holidays. The officer stopped by and brought gifts and took the time to greet them and made them feel special. Although it may have been seemed like a little small gesture to the officers, it meant a lot to her and stayed with her as she grew older. That experience showed her that being an officer is more than enforcing the law. It's also about just being there for people when they need someone. That inspired her to one day become that kind of an officer who can make someone else feel the same way. Congratulations, Officer Santos. Next is Officer Rodan de Leon. Officer de Leon began his law enforcement career with the city of Huron, where he developed a strong foundation in community policing, patrol operations, and public service. He later continued his career with the city of Orange Cove, followed by his service with the city of Avenel, gaining valuable experience and taking on increased level of responsibility. Throughout his career, Officer de Leon has served in a variety of leadership roles, including corporal, sergeant, and patrol commander. These positions have provided him with the extensive experience in patrol operations, officer supervision, leadership, and maintaining the safety and security of the community he has served. Today, Officer de Leon proudly serves with the city of Coalinga, continuing his commitment to law enforcement and the community. After 23 years of service, he remains dedicated to leading by example, supporting fellow officers, and serving the public with professionalism, integrity, and honor. Congratulations, Officer de Leon. Next, Officer Jose Vega. Officer Vega, son of Ramon and Martina, brother to Gerardo y Oscar and Ramon, father to Belia, Citlali, and Josephine, and most important, husband to his beautiful wife, Susana. Officer Vega was born and raised in the city of Coalinga and has become an officer for the Coalinga Police Department in June of 2025. He took on the role of police officer to help the people in his community, from the kids at the schools to the citizens walking the streets. He is just someone who is hoping to make a change in the lives of the people he contacts for the betterment of his hometown. He also just a kid who wants to make his mom and dad proud and make his brothers smile. A husband and father who makes his wife and daughters feel special, knowing he's out there helping people. Most importantly, one day stand before God and let him know that he used every talent that he ever gave him. Congratulations, Officer Vega. Next, Officer Cecilio Rodriguez Cruz. Officer Cruz was born and raised in Long Beach, California, and chose to enlist into the United States Army at the age of 17 years old. During his time as a diesel mechanic for the Army, he managed to achieve the rank of sergeant in 2.5 years, which is considered a fast pace achieving this type of rank. He also achieved the title of Soldier of the Year for his brigade and the runner-up Soldier of the Year for his military base. After separating honorably from the military, he took a huge decision of starting his life away from his hometown. He decided to serve the small community of Coalinga. After his Coalinga PD colleagues, Salcida and Garcia, recommended the agency that would allow him to grow in his chosen profession while also contacting people who mostly support law enforcement. During his time serving the city of Coalinga, he has met several people that have impacted his life for the better. These people being his co-workers, leaders, and the supporting of the community members. Congratulations, Officer Cruz. Sorry. Next, Officer Orlando Garcia. Officer Garcia was born and raised in Hanford, California, prior to joining the Coalinga Police Department. Officer Garcia served the community of the Santa Rosa Rancheria Tachi Yoku tribe, in their public safety department for 8 years. Officer Garcia is currently assigned to patrol and works part-time with the Magic Unit. He's also certified in the use of radar and has been instrumental in reducing traffic accidents in the city by issuing numerous warnings and citations. Congratulations, Officer Garcia. Now to the officers being promoted to corporal, starting with Corporal Juan Navarrete. Corporal Navarrete has been with the Coalinga Police Department since August of 2022 and has been a welcome addition to the department. Officer Navarrete comes to us from the Fresno County Sheriff's Office, where he worked as a deputy for a short period of time. Officer Navarrete is currently assigned to patrol, and as a new corporal, he is one of the department's field training officers. Corporal Navarrete is always willing to assist when needed and is proactive with his investigation. Officer Navarrete is courteous and professional with everybody he encounters and is well respected by his colleagues. Congratulations, Corporal Navarrete. Next is Corporal, Brady Kaiser. Corporal Kaiser has spent most of his life in the Coalinga, graduating from Coalinga High School in 2015. He began his career with the Coalinga Police Department in 2019 as a police dispatcher. In September of 2021, the city of Coalinga sponsored him to attend the Fresno Police Academy, where he successfully graduated in March of 2022. Since joining the Coalinga Police Department, Officer Kaiser has served several roles, including Coalinga campus officer and organized retail theft detective. His dedication to the community, combined with his experience and commitment to law enforcement, has allowed him to serve the city of Coalinga in a variety of capacities throughout his career. He's proud and honored to be part of the Coalinga Police Department. Congratulations, Corporal Kaiser. Okay, next is Corporal Cody Cease. And the last one. Okay, Corporal Cease is a lifelong resident of Coalinga and is married to his beautiful wife, Alexis. Together they have 2 children, Gracie 10 and Corbin 8. Corporal Cease grew up in the city of Coalinga and graduated from Coalinga High School in 2011. In 2013, Cody was hired by the city of Coalinga as a part-time ground creeper. During this time working for the city, he had the opportunity to serve the community in several different roles, including maintenance worker and water treatment operator. These experiences helped strengthen his connection to the community and they ultimately led him towards a career in law enforcement. Throughout his career with the Coalinga Police Department, Corporal Cease, has taken on many roles and responsibility, currently serving as a range master and field training officer. He takes pride in helping train and develop officers and contributing to the continued growth of the department. Outside of law enforcement, Corporal Cease enjoys giving back to the community by coaching Coalinga Youth Oiler football. He believes strongly in becoming involved in the lives of local youth and strives to set a positive example for the next generation. For Corporal Cease, Serving the community goes beyond wearing a badge. It means being involved, giving back, and help make Coalinga a better place for the families and the children who call it home. Congratulations, Corporal Cease. Okay, before reciting the oath of office, at this time, I call family and friends up and to pin the badges on the officers and corporals. Then after you pin the badges, if you could sit down so we could do the oath of office. We'll take a group picture after they have the badge on. That's a lot of leads, huh? Oh, my, it's by memory. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance. That I will bear true faith and allegiance. To the Constitution of the United States. To the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of California. And the Constitution of the State of California. And I take this obligation freely. And I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservations. Without any mental reservations. Or purpose of evasion. Or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge. And that I will well and faithfully discharge. The duties upon which I'm about to. The duties upon which I'm about to. Congratulations. Take a group picture. Commander, if you can come and squeeze in here.
Yep. We are going to take a 5 or 10 minute recess, and we'll call you when we're back. Thank you. It is 7:06. We're going to call this meeting back to order. And we are going to move on to citizens' comments. Before I read this out, for those on Zoom, use the raise your hand feature if you have a comment that you want to make, and they can let you through. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the city council on any item within the jurisdiction of the council. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern, identify themselves, and use the microphone. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes in accordance with state open meeting laws. No action will be taken by the city council this evening, and all items will be referred to staff for a follow-up and a report. Citizen comments submitted in writing to the city clerk by 5 p.m. on the day of the city council meeting shall be distributed to the city council and included in the record. However, they will not be read. And I will just let you know that we have a public hearing that's coming up, and if you want to speak under the public hearing, you're more than welcome to do that during that time. If you want to speak on an item that is in the discussion, we request that you please do fill out a discussion card. That's over there to the right, and if you're on Zoom, again, if you can send a message stating just which item that you'd like to speak on, that way we don't miss you. And that being said, is there any public comment? None? The Measure J discussion will be, it's right after the consent calendar. So it's going to be 6.1, so it's going to be the first discussion item. So if you would like to speak on that, we do ask that you fill out a comment card and just say that you don't, just say that that's the item you want to speak on. And you can also do it in citizens' comments if you didn't want to fill out a comment card and you just want to talk about it now. You get 3 minutes this way. The other way, you'll probably get a little bit more time. Would you like to do public comment? Yeah. Okay. Please just state your name.
Elijah Morrow.
Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you for having the open comment on the Measure J. I'd like to say that we're very pleased with the way the funds have been spent in the last period. The Ramsey Splash Park and the food court are excellent ideas. I think they bring a lot of benefit to a lot of different people. We were a little bit dismayed looking at the items that are prioritized for the upcoming Measure J renewal. In contrast with what the money's been spent on previously, we find that this is very limited benefit. Not a lot of these items seem to be necessary, and they don't provide a general benefit to the broader community. Within the last 5 years, the fire department has received approximately $4 million in upgrades. That includes about $700,000 in spending on new engines and $1.5 million in facility upgrades. The police department has received 5 new police officer vehicles in 2021. There's a 30% reduction in crime in the last month, and yet we're hiring new people. Carpet is being replaced. That's only 20 years old in an upstairs area that the public doesn't access. Not a lot of these items seem to help the community. It seems to be more or less a slush fund for the public departments to buy new toys and fancy baubles. We would urge the city council to shift their priorities in thinking about how to spend this money. Instead, this should be out-facing. It should be a broader focus. I have a couple of ideas. I'm not very imaginative, so there's probably a lot of others I wouldn't have thought about the food court idea. But to realign the priorities, I think this might be a good starting point. The Gimme Love shelter is right next door. The conditions that they work in are very appalling. We believe that a new facility for those people would bring dignity to the work that they do. There is a lack of visual interest in Coalinga. A lot of the buildings are drab. There's not a lot of architectural variation. Some murals would spice things up. I think we're having one on one of the grocery stores, but some additional ones that are sponsored by the public would be interesting. There's an outdoor amphitheater by the middle school that I haven't seen used since I moved to Coalinga. Some outdoor sponsored concerts would be interesting, or some movie screenings. That's a very popular activity in a lot of other cities. Purchase of a screen and a projector. Cover for the skate park. A lot of those items are metal and can get unusable during the summer. I certainly wouldn't go out there and use it, but I think the children would probably like to have access to that year-round. Some hiking and walking trails. We have the bike path around the city, but there's also areas that are nature adjacent that we could probably develop so that people could go on hikes. We have, the sea, but I think that that's actually private property that people trespass onto. Developing something that the people could use would be nice. There used to be a painting zoo oiler. The Oilers used to have a zoo. I think that that's pretty much gone at this point, but that was interesting and whimsical that that's gone away. The college water slide for the water park is broken and has been for quite a while. No, I have more ideas.
I would just use a comment card.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would just like to make the comment that what you're reading in the staff report and from the paper is not the priority list. That is the wish list from our departments. So there's a big paper right here that we're going to present, and we have a lot more ideas, and a lot of them are going to be those outward-facing public things. But we needed for staff to put a report together so that we could understand kind of where they were at. And when I read it in the paper, I had the same idea about that. So I would invite you to stay for the discussion if you can, because I'd love I did write down all the things you said, but if you fill out a comment card, then you stay for it, then we can kind of interact on it, and I think that'd be amazing. And I really appreciate you showing up and coming and talking about this.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Is there anybody else for public comment? Do we have anyone on Zoom? No? All right. We're going to move on to public hearings. 4.1, public hearing for the closeout of the 2022 CDBG HA 10023 Home Buyers Assistance Program. Sean? Or Mercedes?
Yeah, I'll have Mercedes do a quick presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the closeout report for the CDBG Home Buyer Assistance Program that the city applied for and was awarded through CDBG in the amount of $500,000. The funding was available June 2023, and we received the money July 3rd, 2023. During that period, Home Buyer Program provided secondary financing for income-qualified households purchasing a home. The program provided deferred, no-interest loans to low, moderate-income clients. That was the maximum amount allowed of $320,000 per household. Payments could be made anytime, but the full loan would not be due until 30 years after. A total of 4 loans were made for home buyers, totaling $409,908. And then the administrative cost was $25,660.74, and the loan, the grant expired on July 2nd. The remaining funds, majority of the $7,290 that were left was $7,049.26, and that was administrative cost. There will be no additional administrative costs billed to the city since the program has closed. And this is more of an administrative to close out the grant. Self-help, once the public hearing is done, will submit the information to California Department of Housing and Community Development. So if there's any questions.
Is there any questions from council before I open up the public hearing? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and open up the public hearing for the closeout of the 2022 CDBG HA 10023 Home Buyer Assistance Program. Would anybody want to come up and speak on behalf of the public hearing? Anyone on Zoom? All right, and we will be closing the public hearing. And are you looking for a vote to close this out?
No, just the public hearing needed to be held to close out the report.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Oh, so just acceptance and approval of the closeout.
So we do need to vote then?
Yes.
Okay, we'll
Sorry
go ahead
about
and, can I entertain a motion?
I motion to accept the closeout of the 22 CDB GHA 10023 Home Buyer Assistance Program.
And I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Can we get a roll call vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Schindler,
Aye.
Councilman Louder,
Aye.
Councilman Arroyo,
Aye.
Mayor Vosberg.
Mayor also votes aye. That will proceed, and that will close out, and thank you so much. We're going to move on to the consent calendar, where it looks like we have, is it 8 items? Yeah. 8 items. Is there anything from council members that they would like to pull?
I'd like to pull 5.1 and 5.2 for information, and information on 5.6 also, please.
Anyone else? I would like to pull, just for information, it's gonna be 5.4 and, yeah, no, you already did 5.6, so. All right, Sean?
Yeah, if Jesse's still online, he can, unless you guys want specific questions about these, I can probably answer them. Did you have a specific question about the 2 different services?
I just wanted just a thorough explanation, just information-wise.
Yeah, so the purpose of these 2, and then Jesse can chime in if he's still on, is one for the on-call architecture services and electrical services. These are both tied to the outdoor food court project. So these are services that we're looking for, one for electrical engineering services to get all the electrical plans finalized for the outdoor food court. The architectural services will serve 2 functions. One for the design of the C-trains for the more the vertical construction that Jesse mentioned. And then also this architect is expected to help us out with the preliminary kind of review and inspection of the old City Hall building as well as part of one of our priority projects for the year to give us some recommendations on giving the old City Hall a facelift as well. So with that, we did competitive RFQs for both, and based on the review of the review committee, they're recommending that we use Bureau Veritas for both services.
Any other questions from council? And this, I believe, will cover 5.1 and 5.2. Okay. So 5.4, this is, I just had a question for Mai about this. I kind of just wanted to put it out there to let you have a chance to explain like how this budget software is going to work in your department and what kind of expanded things that you're going to be able to do with it.
The UNA, the software is UNA. This is a budgeting software that we looked into and we did a comparison between 3 vendors, and it took us about 3 months to finally find this one. We're very limited because of us being a municipality, and we look forward to using the application as currently today we're using an Excel workbook that contains multiple worksheets where it references from one page to another, and therefore if we made one mistake or if we delete one formula, it messes up everything else. And therefore the process of putting the budget together is very cumbersome, and it is a lot. And what we're hoping for with the new budgeting software is that it will allow us to have audit trail in regards to who made what changes, which is not available in our Excel workbook. We can have multiple versions of budget before we can even adopt the budget. It will also include the capital budgeting in there, which is crucial to our city as we want to make sure that we can track multi-year projects in there. And then we will also be utilizing the personnel budgeting in there as well, which will help us tremendously, as we will be incorporating the MOUs that we have in place in regards to like salaries or any incentives or anything like that. And it will capture all of that information, as like today, everything is very manual, and therefore the calculation, the involvement that it required is very, very time consuming. And then you have human errors involved with that. What we expect to do with the software is we plan to utilize it in every aspect that we can, in regards to priority-based budgeting, in regards to even multi-year budgeting is possible. I do have Carlos from UNA online. In case I miss anything that is interesting, he can hop on and add anything I might have missed. But we are looking forward to this new software for the city.
So I'm really excited for this software. This has been a long time coming, I think. You've been, doing a lot of manual work with this, and when you have multiple people working in a manual type of situation, trying to produce reports is just like we heard the auditor say, hey, they would like those things, a bit earlier. I think that this is really going to help in audit preparation, allow for multi-year planning, allow for the capital accounts. Will this also allow for tracking of like Measure J expenses and things of that nature?
Yes, that is within, so a part of the putting the budget together, the budget software together, we are working on the chart of accounts. And within the chart of accounts, we've added what we would consider like a segment in addition to the budget line. And that will track the Measure J for us. And the software will allow us to do the priority-based budgeting, and also to help us. One of the module within the software is strategic planning, and that aligns with the goals of council and yourself, Mayor.
And is there a web module available for this one too, or is?
It is web-based. There is web-based, and we did also purchase the budgeting book. It's the budget book. I've seen the demo of it. It's really nice. You can actually drill down to it. What sold me on one of these items is, we're very visual. And when you're dealing with capital projects, we want to know exactly where the project is happening and how much is being used, how much have been budgeted, and how much have we used to date, and what is still available. This can actually drill down to where we pin the project to be, and it will actually give you information and details about the project.
So that being said, when we do get finalized budget information or even pre-finalized budgets, will this allow any access for the public
Yes.
to drill down as well? Because I've seen similar softwares. I don't think I've seen this exact one, but one of the really cool features of softwares like this is for the public to wonder, hey, where is your money being spent? You can drill right down onto it. And I think that, especially with Measure J, we have not done a great job in explaining to the public where we have spent that money. We've done a great job moving forward with Kendall and the staff and your team, going back and getting these things and putting them in order. But I think moving forward in the public, transparency, this allows for transparency, accountability, and ethics all at the same time.
Absolutely.
The transparency is going to allow for that accountability, and then the ethics will be involved. And so I think this is a great software, and I'm really excited. When do you guys think you'll start using it?
We plan, so implementation is going to take place in September, and we plan to budget the first year for 27, 28. So that means in January of 27, that's when we will start to build the budget in UNA.
And are they going to help you with the implementation of moving everything in?
Yes,
So that they so that everything goes smoothly?
yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Is there any other questions or comments from council on this? No? Yeah. I'm excited for the visual features.
Same
I mean,
here.
because, you know, yeah, the reports and, yeah. All right. Item number 5.6, approve mutual aid agreement fire suppression and emergency services between the City of Coalinga and the City of Avenel. Chief?
Councilman Louder, did you have a specific question or just an overview, or?
Yeah, just a mutual aid agreement, what are we gonna offer?
Yeah.
And what kind of risks are we taking, if any, some of the complications?
Absolutely.
Right now, this is something we're.
So, perfect. All valid questions. So, this is at the request of the new Avenal Fire Chief, and he has an extremely tall task of creating a fire department from scratch. And so he's not up to the staffing levels that he wants, and so he has to reach out to allied agencies that can provide assistance. We are already part of the Bass Mutual Aid agreement here in California. And I tried to advise him of that, and he was well aware of it. However, he just wanted something documented. So this is more of a clerical thing, housekeeping thing on their end. For us, the good thing about mutual aid is that it's not mandatory, it's voluntary. So if we don't have resources available, we don't have to send them. In the event that we do send them, we have an agreement with Fresno County to have them backfill an engine to our city so that we are never without coverage. So if we did had to go to Avenal for a major incident, and when I'm talking like a mutual aid request, they're not gonna send us for a run-of-the-mill medical aid or a garbage can fire. They're gonna have multiple buildings on fire, natural disaster, stuff like that. And if we go, then the county will send an engine to Coalinga to backfill. So there really is no risk to us per se, because we can deny, because it's not mandatory. And then if we do go, the city's covered with backfill from another allied agency.
Does Avenel reimburse, or as far as financial, what you guys take on?
So, no, that's part of the master mutual aid agreement until a certain hours is met. And then the California Fire Assistance Agreement is a reimbursement mechanism for local government, but there has to be a certain time frame met before that can be implemented.
And they're still utilizing the prison, Kettleman, and Huron, and CAL FIRE?
Yeah, I believe they are reaching out to Lemoore Volunteers, Lemoore Naval Air Station, Fresno County Fire, Kings County Fire, us, and the 2 prisons.
Perfect, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from council on the consent calendar? Can I entertain a motion to pass the consent calendar?
I'll motion to pass the consent calendar.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Consent calendar passes as read. Going to move on to item number 6.1, ordinance presentation, discussion, and potential action items, study session, Measure J renewal, preliminary staff priorities, and community priority setting discussion. So I would just like everyone to know that this is a discussion for bringing items forward. We will likely bring back at a later date we might even have another discussion about this. So things that come out tonight, staff will be taking notes, council will be taking notes, and we'll be moving forward with trying to categorize all those things together and trying to bring something that the community, I think, can be proud of. And maybe I'll start this off by letting Kendall come forward. And I'm also going to pass around this sheet that that we kind of collaboratively created over the different meetings. And if you guys want to look at this, you can. Is that okay, Christina? Is this okay if I pass this to the audience?
Slides?
No, it's not.
I don't.
This is from like multiple meetings, and all I did was like kind of take all the ideas that we were previously talking about and put them into paper. So this isn't stuff that we're pulling from the public, but this is just an idea. I know you're interested, so.
I can wing it. I don't want to hold it up. I can wing it. Okay. I will go slideless. No worries. Again, I'm Kendall Flint with DKS Associates, and we are working with the City of Coalinga to basically develop this education program. And I think to the mayor's comments, a couple things I want to make folks aware of, that we're in an ongoing discussion outreach with various community groups, with the college, with the school district, with others. We've got a presentation coming up with the Women's Club. But I think really importantly to note, there's a fundamental difference between the Measure J that will be appearing on the November ballot and the existing Measure J. And I think the thing that's really exciting about that is that the ordinance now contains 2 clauses that are specific to citizen input. So prior to the council taking any action, which would happen in the next fiscal year when you do your budget, there'd be an opportunity to have a public hearing like this where people can come in and say, hey, here's where we'd like to see the priorities for this year. So not only are we doing that, but leading up to coming into this November election, on Thursday, September 24th at 5 p.m. from 5 to 6:30, we'll be at the library having a town hall meeting where people can share what their ideas might be in terms of how funds might be allocated. And what we've heard from the public thus far is there's a lot of interest in everything from enhancements to local parks to funding opportunities potentially for animal services to physical enhancements to the city. So it's not just police and fire, and at this point the council has made no decisions about that. The other thing I wanted to make people aware of is that in the coming weeks, oh look, there's my slides. Yay. Okay, well you can go to the next slide. Well, I can probably go to the next slide. There we go. So as I mentioned, in the coming weeks, we'll be having more conversations about that with the intention of really hearing what people want to see in terms of investments. Upcoming things also will include a candidate forum that the chamber will be putting together. So if anyone that's watching at home or anyone that's here tonight has an interest in having a presentation for their group, we're happy to do that. I want to be clear, though, this is only an educational thing about what is in the measure, how the measure works. We're not advocating one way or the other for its passage. Pardon me. That was a sneeze. So as I mentioned, this information will be put out on social media, and I just want to say again what a great job Jasenia has been doing as a partner in getting this information out. She's just been great about it, and we'll be sending that to other groups as well. And then just letting other folks know also again that you will be seeing a couple of mailers. These are not intended to be campaign-oriented. They are simply fact sheets that are already available. We want to make sure that they're in everybody's hands, so those will be distributed bilingually. I can't seem to move this forward, but, oh, there it is. And so when you get that in the mailbox, do note those came from the City of Coalinga. They're very low budget, and so they're just intended to help you understand where the money has gone thus far, and the second mailer will talk about some of the things that were spent. But I also want to point out that, again, the 2 things that will be different if this measure moves forward is, one, that citizens' insight that will be held before every year before they do a budgeting. And also, as May has mentioned earlier, we're going to have a requirement for a little bit more transparency so that every quarter there would be a report that was coming out through council that'll tell you exactly what was spent, how it was spent, the vendor it was spent on, all that good stuff, and annual reporting, so that continues on. So it's just really an opportunity to really share more information, and I do want to shout out again to May about what a great job she did rebuilding the information over the last 8 years as to how this money was spent. Fundamentally, though, the most important thing to keep in mind is this is roughly 25% of the City of Coalinga's operating budget. And however that money is distributed, whether it's police, fire, parks, roads, whatever that might be, that is still a substantial part of money that is contributed every year. So I think the purpose of the discussion tonight, which I'll turn back over to the mayor, is really to hear some of the council priorities, but also to hear priorities from members of the public. And I do want to reiterate again, we're not deciding tonight, there's no action item tonight about what is going to be in it, but it's really to see what people want to see with this money moving forward. It is, after all, the public's money. And how does the public want to see that money spent on those priorities? And I think that really, if there's no questions, I think that kind of concludes what I would have said.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sean?
As we start the study session, and I'll let the mayor kind of run the meeting once we kind of get the study session started, but I wanted to definitely clarify the staff report and the information that was provided prior to the meeting was detailed information that was requested from departments. Specifically, departments are strategically set to be operational. And so that's where you see a lot of specifics regarding operations for these departments, from police and fire, admin, and the finance department. But by all means, is this not a list of priorities that are being proposed as part of the overall Measure J without any input from the public or from the council? And so the purpose of these study sessions, this is one of probably a few that we'll have. We'll want to continue these discussions at subsequent meetings because we want to continue to get feedback from the public. We're also looking at putting out maybe some surveys with some top priorities so folks can spend 30 seconds, 5 minutes, providing some feedback that we can actually tally up and we can bring back to the council for subsequent discussions. But by all means, this is not a comprehensive list of what we're proposing. This is just a starting point. This is the first really main discussion we've had. The purpose of my role was to reach out to my departments to get their needs and what they're looking for. But we also want to look at those forward-facing community-type projects that folks are looking for, and I feel like that's best served coming from the public directly and also from the council as well, who serves the public. And so this is the opportunity to provide that feedback, and so we can start compiling a list, and so that can establish priorities and establish a strategic plan moving forward for the next 10 years of Measure J if passed. So with that, Mayor, I will, I have the list in here. I don't know if we need to go through that. This can be well documented, but I'd like to spend more of the time getting your guys' feedback as well as getting feedback from the public.
All right. So what I was going to do, in the interest of time and in the interest of how I've seen these things operate, first I'm going to let Sean speak on some of the things coming from his staff, and then I'm going to move to the council and go down the line, starting with Councilman Arroyo to this direction, and then we'll move to the public. That way that the public has an opportunity to hear some of the things that we're talking about and they can respond back. And it seems that goes really well to do it like that, and then we can we'll have some more engagement as well. That way we just kind of keep it moving. That being said,
Sure.
Sean?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll summarize some of these. I know there's a lot of specifics in terms of what the departments are looking at. What we see is these being future kind of one-time projects throughout the course of the next, 5 to 10 years. But there are some things that are immediate need. There are some things that can be more of a long-term need. Related to the fire department and emergency medical services is, improvement in emergency response equipment. Fire station improvements, as we know, which the fire station is approximately 22 years old. And so we need to make sure we're continuing to support our growing crew. And then also training and future growth. So that's really kind of where the future looks like for the fire department in terms of just, taking care of the existing facilities we have, as well as looking at, training's been a big component of the fire department moving forward. And then also looking at future growth in terms of as the city continues to grow, have that planning, have that foresight to know where we need to be in the future years. In terms of police department and public safety, staffing and ensuring service capacity is critical. And just to highlight a couple of things is increasing the records and evidence component of the police department. One of the new ones is a full-time community service officer. It basically adding one full-time service officer to assist with non-sworn duties and service calls, allowing sworn officers to remain available for higher priority law enforcement activities. And this is actually a big one that comes a lot of feedback we get from the public about, why are they not responding to this call? Why are they not responding to this call? Well, they have higher priority calls that they have to respond to. And so with that, we've talked about a full-time community service officer that will serve a huge benefit, I think, to the community as well. And also just as we continue making sure that we're maintaining a good police fleet and having some plan to make sure that we're making sure that vehicles are rotating and making sure that we're having newer and reliable vehicles for our officers. And as we grow and as technology changes, we need to make sure that we're growing with that technology and ensuring that officers have the appropriate equipment. And then police department facility and technology infrastructure. The police department's getting old as well, and also expansion and understanding where, I think that's also part of our plan moving forward with the old city hall, is to kind of look and see what's the opportunity we may have to not only rehabilitate that building, but look at potential expansion opportunities as we continue to burst at the seams at City Hall as well. In terms of finance and the administrative services, customer service and employment development's huge. It's a lot that we talk about. We're very public-facing, especially in the finance department, and we talk a lot about making sure that we're serving the public to the best of our ability. And so we want to ensure that, one, we have the proper training, and make sure we have employees equipped with that training to provide the best service to our public. We're also looking at staffing and organizational capacity, adding additional staff where needed. Technology and records management, just continuing to be more and more efficient in that department, and then also facility improvements too. We are dealing with older buildings. As we know, we have some new flooring, new painting. Those are things that just have to happen. They don't have to necessarily be the main priorities of Measure J, but they are part of just running not only a city, but also running and making sure that everyone's proud of the facilities that we own, that we have as a city as well. And then I brought up some other areas, and very broad, but I think they're more, of that kind of community focused. Some other areas is park and recreation improvements, really identifying areas that are city-owned parks and city facilities. I know sometimes there's some misunderstandings of what's actually city properties, what are city facilities, and what are parks and recreation facilities. So we really want to make sure we're clear in terms of what types of facilities that we're looking at. But we knew that we have aging facilities, and we need to improve the parks that we do have and other facilities. Streets and infrastructure, is this something that we want to, expand upon beyond just streets and roads funds? Do we want to look at, improving even more our street infrastructure related to with the utilization of even general fund money, where historically we have not, but we may be in a position where we might be able to if that's a priority. Community appearance and quality of life, where we talk about beautification, the Clean City Initiative, improving gateways, downtown improvements, code enforcement resources, and other investments that improve the appearance and the livability of the community. So I think those are good areas to look at. From economic development, investments to support businesses, attractions and retention, development readiness, downtown revitalization, and economic growth. So look at ways that we can really improve and setting ourselves up to tee up for businesses to come to Coalinga. Technology and organizational efficiency. We've talked a little bit about that. Cybersecurity is a huge issue. We see that on a daily basis. It seems like we need to make sure that that the city is protected from a lot of the intrusion that we see coming, which includes equipment and other investments to improve our ability to be efficient and provide services. Workforce and service capacity, really looking at strategic staffing, recruitment, retention, training, succession planning, and organizational investments needed to maintain quality municipal services. And that kind of hits it on the point, where if we have all of that in front, we have quality staff, we have good recruitment, we have good training, the city's gonna have a good product that's basically supporting them. From public works to fire to police to the finance department to administration, you're gonna have the best of the best that are taking care of this community. And leveraging outside funding. So using those resources where appropriate as matching funds or local contributions to leverage state, federal, and other grant funding. That's how we've been able to do a lot in the past, is being able to have funding to leverage larger dollars, because nothing comes free, but a lot of it comes with small percentages of local support, and that could be another type of area we can look at. But at this point, the purpose of tonight is really to begin the priority setting process rather than its conclusion. So with that, Mayor, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, and I'd kind of just like to give someone just a tad bit of history. Measure J was actually passed along with the cannabis tax to try and save the city. We were like negative almost 5 million in the hole when this first started. So we were down to like 11 officers. Fire department was in shambles, code enforcement non-existent. We did not have, we had the city manager wearing 2 or 3 hats, assistant city manager wearing 2 or 3 hats. So if anyone remembers back to when Measure J was originally put forward, it was because the city was literally going downhill. The audits were not being done on time. The budget looked really bad. And then, Measure J came through, the cannabis tax came through. Cannabis, the money has really subsided, maybe 300,000 a year where we were getting $1 million a year. We did get a lot of money from property sales from cannabis, which really helped a lot in taking that almost $5 million, in turning that. But we had $1 million a year that we were bleeding, which was money that we were spending more than we were having in revenue. And at the city, you have fees, which can only cover those costs. Those aren't money makers. And then you have taxes. And so it's very unfortunate that that's the way that works, is the taxes is what kind of feeds the city. Since then, we've made a lot of changes at the city level with our infrastructure, with management, and a lot of that Measure J money that in that first round really did go to a lot of infrastructure that we needed. We got we got an emergency response center within the fire department. We've gotten emergency backup systems, I believe, at the PD and at the fire. Those were not cheap. Those were really expensive. We've gotten to retain officers, and we've spent a lot of money that we used with grants and matching funds as well to be able to leverage. And I think Sean is one of the best at being able to do that. Unfortunately, sometimes that comes with a time frame of, we're waiting for these projects to occur, and we have a grant that's waiting for it, and we're going to put matching monies with it. Sometimes that can make things take longer, but overall, it does work out really well. And so I just want to, focus on the fact that now we're actually at a time to where we do have a nice, healthy general fund, as you've seen. But if Measure J goes away, then we're not going to have that healthy general fund, because it's a lot of the money that is being spent on, our police, our fire, our infrastructure, and now we're actually able to do front-facing projects for the public. And so, like the gentleman said earlier, the splash pad, hopefully we'll be able to finish out the outdoor food court. There's a lot of things that I want to talk about, and I just want to make clear that this this list was a kind of accumulation of everything that we had been talking about through our multiple strategic planning sessions and multiple councils. So when I say I collaborated, I didn't actually talk to all of them. I created this, but I can't take credit for it because these are all of our ideas. So I just want everyone to know that this is the ideas from a lot of people, including staff and whatnot. And I would like it entered into the record, if possible, Shannon. I can get you a copy of this. That way that anyone wants to pull this up, that they can see it. And I'd also like to make it clear that this is not a working document, as it's a priority list. This is just a wish list. And so moving forward tonight, we're going to put wishes on that wish list, and then hopefully move forward at a subsequent meeting and kind of categorize these things into something that we can move forward with, and think about, which ones do we really want and how can we prioritize those. So with that being said, I'm gonna open this up to Councilman Arroyo and see if he has anything that he would like to, and then we'll move this direction, see if there's anything that you would like to publicly just say that you would like on the list.
Sure. So, I guess I could start off by saying that was a lot of talk from you, both of you. I think you gave a lot of information, a lot of bullet points here that kind of, after a while, you understand the point of the fact that we're not settled into any decision, right? But as we all look at these funds and look at how we got to a measure of such, is the fact that we all have, felt in desperate need of trying to revive the city. And during that time, I was not in this seat. This has barely been a few months, but what I've learned is that, we all see things from different lenses, different times in our lives. We're seeing the need for different things around our city. And we can't see the good times and the bad times. And we can't see the bad times when we're in the good times. So, with that said, is that we are coming up on a decision here that can really, tilt us to the next level as the city is growing and expanding responsibly. We have, a department, a police department that has needs, a fire department that has needs. We want to retain our employees, our police officers, our firefighters, our EMTs, and everybody, and keep them happy. And be in compliance. And some of these things that we have missed over the years because of funds, we've been out of compliance, and we've struggled as a city to try to sustain ourselves, have proper training, equipment, and treat our first responders well and competitive. And they have families that they got to respond to, right? So that being said, I think that there's sometimes where some of the numbers and the money can be misleading if we don't understand how they got to them in those departments. But I also think that now that we are in a healthy place where we weren't before, that we do have an obligation to our citizens and the kids, parents, and this whole entire town to put something that's more, outward facing to them that they can really enjoy, aside from us trying to keep our services and people and infrastructure in place. So I like to say that this thing is not way cooked, it's just barely we're adding ingredients here. And we look forward to your guys' comments and anybody here to come up, and if they have an idea, hey, let's suspend disbelief. Let's hear it. Let's shake it twice, Let's find out what you guys need. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, guys.
Councilman Louder?
No, yeah, I just want to thank the gentleman for stepping up. I could almost agree with almost everything he said. I myself, very new, very grassroots here in town. I had to understand that this is a report brought out by the city, so it's going to be very city-facing. These are important tools that our city needs. The fire department needs certain upgrades, certain tools. I myself, the first thing I said was like you, is the community needs to be involved and need to have a voice. I wrote down some of the things you said that not only are almost echoed my exact feelings, something like the murals. We do have murals in progress already. We have getting the community involved. We just built our new guidelines so we can get that rolling, because beautification of the city is very important in my belief. With the beautification, some of the ideas that I had, I want to pull funds and expand on our turf program. We have a program that's grant-oriented that is kind of limited as far as beautification to citizens' properties. I don't really like the fact of dumping a truckload of gravel in somebody's front yard and calling it done. I think they should have an option to get some fake turf, so if the city can set a fund aside to also subsidize that, so people have an option of what they can put in their front yard. For me, a big thing is youth programs and youth sports. I want to have as much financial support for those things, exploring different options that we can have to do those. Also veterans, for me, our Veterans Park, I would like to see that built up. I proposed a Veterans Wall in our budget. I'd like to get all our veterans in town a name on there to show support and love for our veterans. That goes with another idea I had with like a community wall. We have a lot of deep-rooted families in Coalinga. I think they'd love to be a part of a community wall they have in different communities. They buy a brick, you build something nice, and it's a nice little pocket park you can have in town. The walking paths that you said, I'd love to see more walking paths out there. I think the bike path we have go around town, I think exploring out farther, I think it's a great idea. So you touched base on the skate park. That's first thing I thought. It's 110 degrees. I'd love to go skate it, but I'm not going out there. But we get into the thing where it's Parks and Rec, it's city, it's back and forth. So how can we come together with our funds in agreement and get that thing shaded so the kids can be out there all day long. The animal support, Gimme Love, helps support them financially so they can continue on their path in the new building they got going on. How can we explore different options? All these things I want to be more community facing. The city's doing their job, they're gonna have their things, you know, fire trucks and all these things. We don't see it as citizens. We see it when we need it, but we don't see it when our dollars are spent. So the understanding that the city, you know, they're protecting their things like carpet and stuff like that, you know, we'll never see it, but it's needed. It's needed. They work hard. They're there all day long, and they like to feel comfortable. And so some of the different things, another thing I wrote down was sidewalk repair. I myself have a problem right now building a sidewalk. There's a shared program. It's still, you know, pretty expensive. So if we can increase that, I think that's just another option. These are all things, like Councilman Arroyo said, we're snowballing right now. But I want to thank you for coming up and showing support. I wanted to continue and get more of our meeting points where we're having meetings at the library and different places, because we need that involvement. We need to hear what people want in town, because they're going to vote on it. And we need their support, and we need their confidence in us as a council, that we're going to assist the city and get those things rolling.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Schindler?
How come I'm always last? Hell, man. So, yeah, we've covered all the necessities, obviously, and we can't do without those. But I think more or less we're here to talk about the sexy stuff, right? You know, the outdoor food court and the animal shelter and the things people want to talk about. So I don't know, are we gonna, during this session, kind of whittle at this list, or is, what is it, are we?
It's
we're just
essentially a
kinda just throwing things
brainstorming
on the wall
session.
kind of things?
Throw things out there, and then what we'll do is we'll try to kind of compile them into like kind of areas and goals. I don't know, but we'll be able to recognize, okay, this kind of approach is, these are types of projects that will fall into. If we break it down like parks and recreation, city beautification, we can bring them into topics, and then identify what are some of the priorities of things we want to look at.
Okay.
I mean, because it'll be another 10 years that we'll have Measure J if this passes, and so it's not that all these are going to happen overnight. I hope not, because I won't have the capacity to do that.
Well, are we talking about what the portion of Measure J is gonna be? Is there, when does that happen? I mean, because we could throw a lot of this stuff out there and then only.
Yeah, I think we're just taking out, pushing out all the ideas, taking all the ideas from the public and from the council, and then we're gonna hand that information to staff. They're gonna categorize it and then bring it back, and then we'll talk more, and then we'll work on like how much, you know, we think is available and what we think we can, we can prioritize.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
that's the,
And
maybe
Kendall
Kendall
might have a
can.
comment too.
Yeah, okay.
So one of the really cool things about how this council has decided to move forward with Jay is the public participation. And so one of the things I've been texting Jasenia, so as an example, once you put all your ideas out, ideas we get at that workshop on the 24th, right? The idea is that we can create a matrix of all the different options, and we can create tools called participatory budgeting. And so I don't know how many people are as old as I am, but I used to get the Sears catalog, and my brother and I would put things, all the stuff we wanted for Christmas. We knew for a fact we weren't going to get all of them, but we still did the corners. It's like that. So the idea is we want to ask the public what are the most important things for them, and then bring that information back. But really, you won't be making that prioritization decision until 2027, when you get into your budgeting process, which is largely going to happen in January, February. So right now, it's giving Jasenia and I the materials we need to go back out to the public and say, hey, this is what they're thinking. How does this align with your ideas?
Okay, perfect. That helps a lot. So personally, I think the biggest portion of this should be focused towards the community updates, something to give back to the community. So, because we built a pretty strong police department and we built a pretty strong fire department. So we can maintain that and focus more on the community. And I think personally, the outdoor food court, the community swim, like the pool slide, you know, things like that. The clean city, that's part of the turf program, you know, everybody wants to live in a nicer city. Youth job program, of some sort. I don't know if there's some way we can do that. But I think one of the most important, and this has been an issue for a long time and kind of kicked to the curb, is animal control, animal shelter. I think some real effort needs to be put into our animals in Coalinga. And I know that we have a shelter now and we're moving that direction, but I think that should be a big focus, you know, where we go in the future. So that's my thoughts.
All right. And I'd just like to remind the public that if you do want to come up and talk, please fill out a comment card. That way I can be consistent with this. And if you're on Zoom, please send a message or raise your hand. That way that we know that we aren't going to miss out on those on Zoom either. And we really do appreciate the Zoom. That's pretty cool that you can participate remotely. And as Kendall said, we will have multiple opportunities for input. I'm not going to read this whole document, but this document is going to be in the the minutes. It'll be in the record. And I probably will give a copy to Mary, so if she wants to put it into the paper, she can. Because I do think that in listening to the public, as soon as the paper came out and a lot of people seen the information that was out there, the way that it was disseminated looked like that might be what our priority list was. But it's really just a list from staff of the things that they need, that they want as well. Things that will make their lives easier, hopefully things that will help in recruiting. For PD and fire, it's really important. We're a small city. We can't compete with the state budgets. We can't compete with the highway patrol, with this, you know, so what we can do is we can make their lives a little bit better. And we really do have a recruitment thing going on, and we've tried to raise, you know, how much we pay, but at some point in time, you know, it just becomes like, what other things can we offer amenity-wise to try and keep our people here? But that being said, I do absolutely agree that I think that the community really wants to see community-facing programs. And so outdoor food court, that's like, you know, I think we've put that as like one of our #1 priorities. We want to have that. And so unfortunately, these projects do take time to get finished, but we have, you know, expressed to our assistant city manager and city manager that this is something that we want to hyper-focus on. That includes quite a bit of stuff, you know, stage, places to eat, places that people could bring in, food trucks, place for people to be, you know, well lit at nighttime, area for the public to gather. And that being said, let's just throw that into other scenarios too, like, you know, Councilman Louder was talking about Veterans Park, revitalizing some of these park spaces that we have, going into the parks that we have now at the city and offering shade spaces. Shade is going to be the biggest deal. We need to have shade spaces. And I think that I would like to have shade spaces that also have benches for people to have like get-togethers, like they want to have their quinceañera or they want to have a party out there or something like that, which this also includes having trash cans, you know, in that way. And also, when you look at that, it looks at increasing maybe the amount of people that the city has to help with that, because anytime that we start increasing services, our capacity levels, we need to increase capacity to help on those types of things. The story of Coalinga, the walking experience. We've discussed this for quite some time. This is a couple councils have in a row have talked about this. Developing the story of Coalinga and having people being able to walk down our walking trail paths and either have you know, a QR code or have something that they can follow along with to kind of help them with the history of Coalinga. I think that could bring a lot of tourism to town. Amazingly enough, people come for some of those things. They came for the zoo, as the gentleman pointed out. You know, the zoo was a great idea. Unfortunately, because so many were coming out to the zoo, they were having people that were trespassing onto those places. So from what I understand, that's really what kind of they didn't want to continue with that. So the walking experience, business and commercial property improvement grant program, also right online with what you were talking about. You know, I think we need to help our businesses, and maybe it be a matching grant program, that way that they're putting some in, we're putting some in, and maybe focusing on the areas that are front-facing to the town first, when you're entering or leaving, or some of those places that are on the main street. I think that would be a good idea. Improving ADA, exterior lighting, things like that, to make those places safe, so that people can feel safe when they're walking around, especially in the downtown area. One thing that I would really like to see that I think that would be pretty cool, and I know that we could do it, it's one of those kind of vision things where, you know, we'd have to figure it out, but I'd like to offer like free Wi-Fi at our parks. I'd like to have Wi-Fi to where that at a certain hour, not all day, not to where you could give someone, hey, you're just going to sit down there and watch Netflix all day, but at least like, hey, if someone's at a park area and they want to get on Wi-Fi, at least they could be able to check their email or something like that. I think that'd be something interesting. We do have unwired, and we already do have a wireless network system, some of which is being used for our camera system for the PD and stuff like that, but I'm sure we could find a way to make that happen. Let's see. Oh yeah, along with like the parks and whatnot, I think it'd be cool to have Coalinga themed photo areas and landmarks. We have some areas in town that'd be really cool to like theme it to where like, hey, you come and you can take a picture, things of that nature, and we could do it in spaces that people are already coming. That way, the Veterans Place, if you had, you know, the Veterans Wall, that'd be a great thing to work with. But photo opportunities and things of that nature, even with the outdoor food court, that could help. Animal shelter and community animal welfare support, you know, that's huge. We need people to help. You know, we have a lot of people, Facebook warriors, that are like really just all over it with the animals, but when it comes to actual help, where are you folks at? I'm serious. Like, where are you at? Because you can't just talk the talk. Gimme Love is in definite need of people to go down there and help. Walk the dogs, but not only that, help feeding, help cleaning, things of that nature. And you know what? I think that the city, that I would like to see us spend money on microchipping, increased amount of microchipping, spay and neuter assistance, and then, you know, I don't know how we'll accomplish this, but I know that staffing needs at the shelter are, you know, facilities and staff. We need to work on that kind of stuff, because what they're doing is a very important job to the community, and you know, they're really, really, really dedicated to helping, and the work they do, I know the city could not do it. I know that the city would not, and so whatever I think that we need to do to try and help them, you know, I'm in favor of doing that, and I'd love to see us make a dedication in Measure J to cement that moving into the public space for a long time. And then something that Roger had mentioned, I believe the gentleman over there mentioned too, that slide, we need to fix that slide. We can fix that slide. We need to try and fix that slide, and we need to, yeah.
Not just fixed, and open.
And oh, yes, no, open, right, for sure. And I know that there's some things that go along with insurance that have to do with that slide as well. And I've been looking at other budgets for other councils and other cities, and some of them actually do have a city swim program where it's in their budget, and they're dedicating like 20 or 30 grand, and I researched it, and it is because somebody else owns it, but they can't afford to keep it open. So I'd love to see something that as well. We did kind of a pilot this year on that, opening up the pool, but I would like to see the concession area, you know, have us help fix that up too. I know that the school, you know, money don't grow on trees, and the school is doing the best they can with what they have, and so I'd like to see us grow that partnership with them. School crossing guard program. You know, this has been floated around a lot of different times, and these are just ideas. We're just putting wish lists out there, right? But I think that, you know, having the city and the school work together on a crossing guard program, we have heard a lot from residents that say, you know, that they don't feel safe in those types of areas, especially letting their kids walk to school. And then we have now the e-bikes, and we have the scooters. And I know that there's a lot of rules that just literally were, Bonta just decided that these are new rules. He just writes them down and says these are new. I don't know how he does that, but he does. And it's called guidance. And he changes the guidance. And so now the guidance is you have to be a certain age, you have all kinds of stuff that goes along with it. But I do think about it, how many kids are riding those to school that are not adding to the situation of driving cars, right? Because if you get those kids off of those scooters, then those kids are gonna have, because a lot of them are taking those scooters to school, and they're riding them to school. So I just like to see, but we need to be safe, so also safety programs having to do with e-bikes. None of this stuff is free, so this stuff, that's why we're bringing it up about Measure J. Traffic safety and neighborhood traffic calming, neighborhood speed control. I'd like to see 10 speed humps a year being given to the direction of the council. That way that each council, each district could get 2 per year. And then council figures out where the council, because I think that we really do have the eyes and ears of the citizens in our area. And so when they come to us and say, hey, like this area is a real big problem, I'd like to be able to address those types of things, and I'd like it to be tied to Measure J, so the citizens realize that, they're getting this.
They do work.
And they do work, right. Enhanced crosswalk safety devices, the things that flashing light and beacon, those things are really expensive. But we have Measure J, and I think they go a long way. And guess what? They always need maintenance and repair too. So they are quite, and there's different versions. There's the Hawk version. There's the one where you can just press the button.
Wouldn't those be some of the grant matching kind of things?
Yeah, they fall under qualifying expenses for street funds. So like when we usually do new projects, if it involves any crosswalks or any type of traffic safety, we can usually incorporate those into the project scope, and then it'd be funded through either federal, state, or we can even use local street dollars too.
Well, however we can do it, let's get them. And then speed awareness and enforcement support, I think we need to have some more of those permanent radar speed feedback signs that basically when you're coming into town, or when you're in town even, on some of these streets that people go fast, green and red tells you your speed, and if it's in the green, hey, you're okay. If it's in the red, you need to slow down. I think those things can actually stop a lot of people from getting tickets, and they can actually make our city safer. Commercial truck parking and neighborhood protection. I don't think anyone realizes how much damage that first off, I'm going to start by saying the trucks are one of the most important things in our entire community. They are. They give us so much. Without trucks, we wouldn't have any of the items that we have. Ross wouldn't even exist, right? But there's streets that are meant for trucks, and they have a weight limit and a load, and then there's streets that are not. So we have a lot of trucks that are parking in areas that they shouldn't be. And so I would like to get more no truck parking signs specific into those areas. That way that we can try and save our streets, because every dollar that we save with that is a $10,000 saved, because these are very expensive to replace the roads. So I would just like to kind of read the overall comment that Measure J should provide a balance between maintaining essential city services and meaningful investments directly into the community. Residents should be able to see and experience the results of Measure J through new places to gather, new things to do, better parks and amenities, stronger local businesses, improved animal services, and projects that make Coalinga more attractive and enjoyable to the community. And so I think that I would like to see a large portion of this money going towards those type of programs, but I definitely don't want to leave out our city infrastructure and the needs of the city as well. So that's where coming to that balance is kind of important. And so now that I've talked quite a bit, I'm gonna go back to council real quick for just any follow-up before I open it up to the public.
Yeah, I guess my follow-up, two things that I think they're super cool, and that I think if this goes the right way is, one, like, we're asking for the public to come out, like we're having meetings at the library, we're asking for the community to have input, like, please show up, don't just talk shit, like, show up, please, like, be a part of it. This is your community. And second, we're gonna be tracking it real time budget. that is cool. I want to see charts. I want to see where the money's going. I want to see everything. Like, that's just, I think we owe it. Not just passing things just to pass them and say, hey, this, Charlie got this and Joe got that. None of that crap. That's two things I think that are really cool with this new way of approaching this measure. So that's all I have to say.
Anyone else?
Yeah, again, I just want to ensure the focus of this being a community-facing project. I agree with Councilman Schindler that that needs to be the focus and the majority of the funds. Again, I do want to highlight, though, that this is the city report does bring up the things that are needed. And again, we have a fire department who's part of bringing our rating to a very rare rating that we can continue to uphold. And we have another chief who is bringing a safe city. We have numbers that are not matching anywhere around. So by giving them toys and tools, we can continue that. So I think that's also very important.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? All right, we're going to move to the comment cards. Shannon?
Elijah?
Well, it seems I'm not needed here.
No, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
What I heard was a lot of the alignment that I was looking for in the community-facing things. Still, we'll probably want to push back against some of the items that were recommended, particularly the recurring funds, such as hiring new individuals. Not only would that earmark a certain amount of the annual funds per salary and benefits, but then once the Measure J runs out and suppose it's not renewed, then we would have a deficit there in the budget where we wouldn't either. So I'd probably say, one and done sort of expenses might be the more fiscally responsible approach. Apart from that, and appreciated all the ideas that were put forward. I'm definitely in line with all of those. One more wish list idea, just because throwing it out there, and this is absolutely not going to be adopted, but on the north side of the city, over by the aquifer that runs under the bridge, we have a large amount of individuals who engage in like ATV and 4x4 activities. I don't know if we own that area whatsoever, but that's one of the recreational things that people seem to be engaged in quite a bit. A lot of people seem to have something in their garage. If we could develop that at all, some sort of bike park, they've created a bunch of ramps and whatnot out of the hills that are there, but if we can facilitate engagement in that at all, I think the community's already engaged in that. And if
Is that located where the wooden pumping unit?
Yeah.
Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, and we talked about a
That's the
park.
park that I.
But developing that into a better park there, right? Yeah, yeah, that would be a good idea.
That's it.
Perfect.
Again, I'm not needed.
No, thank you. We appreciate it.
No, I just want to say thank you very much for coming up, and I'd encourage to talk to more citizens, get them involved. We need people here, we need these ideas, and we need the support.
Yeah, Elijah, same, like, that we appreciate it. We hope to get more Elijahs in here. So-
Absolutely. And
There's
if you-
only one.
If you come up with more ideas, please feel free to reach out to any of us or to go to our website. Oh. We're going to have a place on the website, too. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Do we have any other public comment cards?
We do not.
Okay. Robert's saying none on Zoom. All right. Okay, that being said, is there any last and final comments from council? All right. Seeing no further comments, we are going to move from the study session, unless there's anything that Kendall wants to end with.
and the public is involved, and the whole idea is to be really transparent. Jasenia and I are going to get together on Monday and start developing that survey instrument. We have a great tool for that, for participatory budgeting. I also want to point out that all the tools we develop are multilingual, so they'll be available in both Spanish and English. And just put out another plug to please come to our workshop or town hall on the 24th, because that's a really good opportunity to share some of these things, and we'll have some interactive opportunities to share ideas. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And with that, we will be moving to item number 6.2. Yes, sir.
I do have somebody on Zoom, they just weren't able to raise their hand.
No problem. Let's move to Zoom.
Go ahead, Dawn.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, good evening, council, mayor, citizens. This is Don Kaikino, your city treasurer. And I was trying to get in on the action and have something to say, but I guess I wasn't doing this correctly. So I just wanted to put in my 2 cents, please, if possible.
Absolutely.
I agree with everything Sean said in the opening statement to this informational session. I was very happy to hear it all. I feel like I've been a part of it along the way. For my wish list, or what I would see, again, I'm going to reiterate that, first of all, I'm very proud of this council, and I'm proud of the work I've been able to accomplish with the city manager and the council and moving forward from where we were 4 or 5 years ago to where we are today. So we've made huge accomplishments that I'm very proud of in our city. And I think we've made huge strides into transparency and including our citizens, and really moving forward with our city to make it a better place to live. So I'm very proud of that. A couple of things that I want to, still on my mind is that we continue to move forward with, I like to see our equality across the board for all agencies through our city, to a standard where they're all, the same. I've talked in the past about having a campus for services and resources, and I'm still on that because I'm getting to a point where I'm kind of concerned, and I would like to see resources spent to maybe, well, I've already asked that we approach the county and get the resources that are due to us. Upon doing so, I think it's really a good idea at this point in time to start looking into maybe having the county or maybe partnering with community hospitals or anybody of that nature to maybe bring in some OB services and positions, because a lot of our physicians are getting ready to retire. And so I think having a city is important to have resources. And I've talked about that in the past, about having resources to move forward. So those are some of the things that are important to me. And I'm very happy to see that we're finally moving forward with a computerized program for our finances. It's super important. I'm super excited about that. And so those are some of the things that I hope that we can continue to move forward with. And as far as, again, Your Money at Work for You campaign, putting out those information whenever we're utilizing resources, and it's coming from Measure J, to let the community know that that's where the money's going. And again, I'm going to ask that if we could please maybe come up with something where we're utilizing our public platforms to, the more have a little minute of educational resources from either our police or our fire or anybody that has a message to put out to our citizens to address things. And so they get some video, education. And so I've asked for that in the past too. So those are just some of the things I wanted to put out there, and I appreciate your time, and I thank you so much.
Thank you, Treasurer Kaikina. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate that. Is there anybody else on Zoom who would like to make a comment before we close this out? All right, seeing none, we will move on to item number 6.2, discussion, direction, and potential action regarding fire department staffing and deployment model.
So real quick, this is going to help explain one of the slides I couldn't fit all the information on, so I'll have to you.
No, we don't have diagrams tonight.
This is mostly All right, a little taller. Last but not least, good evening, Mayor, Council, and community members. This presentation will be discussing a new deployment and staffing model for the fire department and a path to long-term sustainability of our fire service delivery. After evaluating the operational demands of the department, the continued growth of city's emergency medical services, and the long-term sustainability of our service delivery model, staff is proposing to reorganize the fire department into 2 operational divisions, a fire division and an EMS division. This proposal is not a reaction to any single event or recent issue. Rather, it is the result of an extensive evaluation of the department's operational needs and the recognition that EMS has evolved into a highly specialized service requiring dedicated staff and operational support. The objective is to build an organizational structure that better reflects the services the department provides today while positioning the city to meet future demands, while increasing fire suppression in the city. The fiscal year 26-27 adopted budget currently includes 21 firefighter positions and 6 non-safety positions. Under the proposal you will see tonight in the organizational model, staffing would reallocate to 15 firefighter positions and 18 non-safety positions. And I will explain how the number of 15 firefighters is actually going to increase fire suppression delivery. The proposed staffing model is intended to create dedicated leadership for both fire and EMS operations, better align employee classifications within the work with the work being performed, improve operational efficiency and accountability, enhance continuity of operations and succession planning, and allow fire personnel to spend more time performing mission-critical fire response pre-incident, incident, and post-incident duties. So this is deployment and staffing model, a path to long-term sustainability of our service delivery model. So tonight we'll discuss kind of where we are and where we're headed. So where we are, today's staffing model and the safety gap it creates on every shift. We'll also discuss what the data shows, breakdown of the call data and what it reveals about our suppression coverage, and where we're headed. So the proposal, the investment required, and the ask of City Council. So today's staffing model, and this is actually with the proposed 26-27 budget, would be 1 battalion chief, 1 captain, 1 engineer, 3 firefighter paramedics, 2 firefighter EMTs, a non-safety paramedic, and a non-safety EMT on a 4896 schedule with 3 platoons. That's 8 funded sworn positions, and 7 are required daily. We would, with the adopted budget, the additional firefighter was to get us to 7 staffing, 6 minimum. The current apparatus assignments, Battalion 171 is a battalion chief, the engine is staffed by a captain and an engineer, and 1 ambulance is staffed by 2 firefighter paramedics. The other ambulance is staffed by a firefighter paramedic and a firefighter EMT, and the 3rd ambulance is staffed by a non-safety paramedic and a non-safety EMT. So where does the battalion chief fit in all this? Battalion chief is command and control. Their primary focus is overseeing the entire fire scene, directing resources, and planning tactical decisions. They're responsible for safety management. The battalion chief monitors overall firefighter safety and hazard changes without getting trapped into interior operations. They're responsible for span and control. Managing multiple companies on scene requires constant communication and decision making. There's a thing called the NIOSH 5. It's an informal fire service term from the top 5 operational breakdowns repeatedly identified in the NIOSH firefighter line of duty death investigations. And those are casual factors that commonly relate to firefighter line of duty deaths: improper risk assessment, lack of incident command, lack of accountability, inadequate communications, and lack or failure to follow SOPs. Where the battalion chief fits into all this and helps try to prevent these 5 breakdowns is they establish command early, enforce accountability, manage risk control, control communications, and they ensure that the SOPs are being compliant. Now, there is a small percentage, 25% of the week, where if I'm here, the battalion chief can potentially be used as suppression resources, but 75% of the time he's in a command and control function. So the battalion chief's availability should not be a substitute for dedicated fire apparatus suppression staffing. So what does that mean on the fire suppression side of things? Well, we have an engine, and the engine has 2 people on it, and that's it. So 2 dedicated suppression crews every shift. Captain and engineer are the only permanently assigned fire crew, regardless of call volume, time of day, or day of week. Every other firefighter, paramedic, and firefighter EMT on shift is primarily posted to the ambulances, not on the engines or fire apparatus. There is also no dedicated ladder company. The department's ladder right now sits unstaffed or cross-staffed. So here's kind of a scenario or a real look at things. You know, 6 firefighters on paper sounds great, but in reality, here's what the actual daily staffing looks like with those 6 firefighters. You have 2 on the engine, 4 assigned to ambulances. So when a fire call comes in, your engine responds with 2. All your other firefighters are usually assigned to EMS units. All right, so it's not hypothetical. This is what really happened. So I ran stats for 2025. Every structure fire the department responded to in 2025. There was a total of 17 structure fires in 2025. 14 of those, we only had 1 Kalinga fire apparatus with 2 fire suppression personnel on the initial first alarm assignment. That's 82% of the time. We only had 2 firefighters from Kalinga on the initial assignment. Otherwise, we were waiting for mutual aid or additional ambulances coming from possibly Huron or out of the area returning from a call. So the other apparatus listed are mutual aid response, ambulance from Huron, which can take anywhere from 9 to 14 minutes to arrive on scene. So what does this all mean? Well, there's the OSHA standard, and the OSHA standard is 2 in, 2 out. Before firefighters can enter a burning structure, federal law requires that 4 firefighters are on scene. 2 to enter together, and 2 to remain outside, ready to rescue them if something goes wrong. So this is actually enforced in California under Cal OSHA Title 8, the California Code of Regulations right there. So this isn't a department policy, this is a binding safety standard. The only exception is a known life rescue, and that's a narrow one because it does not cover a routine primary search operations, and it should not become standard operating practice. It's only in the event of a known citizen rescue. So we currently meet this obligation or this requirement by waiting for a second unit or mutual aid to arrive before starting interior attack. And every minute that we're waiting, the fire grows, and every minute the fire can grow, can double, triple, and quadruple in size while we're waiting. There's a lot of times where we can pull hose and start water in what we call a transitional attack, where we will attempt to extinguish the fire from the outside because we legally can't go inside. But that's only if we see the fire coming out the front door or the front window. If it's deep-seated inside, we can't do anything until additional help arrives. We can do our best exterior-wise until we get the appropriate resources. So what does this mean for Kalinga? With only 2 on engine 171, our own initial response cannot legally begin fire attack because we're short by 2 people. That means we have to wait for a second unit, mutual aid, off-duty recall before crews can safely go interior every time on every structure fire. And fire behavior doesn't wait. Chuck, you were in our live burn. It's hot. And it grows, and it gets worse, and visibility decreases. And the chance of survival is diminished every minute. So this is a genuine safety and liability exposure for our firefighters and residents. Why is this critical today? Well, the workload has changed. You can see I ran data from when we started using data collection at the department. Before I was there, for 2016, the new software they started using, they only ran 1,700 calls total in 2016. Jumped up to 2,500 in 2021 and 3,600 last year. So our call volume has essentially doubled, almost 100% call growth increase in 9 years. On the EMS side of things, they went from 1,500 calls to 3,100 calls last year, 108% increase. And that's with 3 ambulances staffed today. Back in 2016, they only had 2. So firefighters are regularly tied to ambulance transport as a direct result of this growth. The deployment model hasn't changed at all since call volume was less than half of what it is today. 88% of our total call volume in 2025 were EMS runs, and 79% of those were transports. Majority of those transports were out of the area. So about 25% of the day, firefighter staffed ambulances are on an EMS call. The department is averaging about 8.5 calls per day, and each call takes about 4 hours from on scene to available. Now, available just means when they clear hospital. So they could be available from Valley Children's Hospital. They could be available from St. Agnes or Clovis or Fresno. They still have drive time back to Coalinga. So although we staff 6 firefighters per shift, the use of firefighters on 2 24/7 ambulances means fire suppression availability is becoming frequently reduced. And this is based on annual EMS workload and estimated time on task data. So you've heard me talk a lot in most of my presentations and the annual report last year of the industry standard. This is kind of what we go by, NFPA 1710. So 4 minimum personnel, 4 minutes to arrival on scene, and 15 to 17 personnel on a first alarm assignment. Obviously, we can't meet that with the staffing we have, so that's where we rely on mutual aid. So our baseline engine crew of 2 falls short of the standard every single day before any call volume is even factored in. So what does 2 firefighters versus 4 firefighters actually mean or make a difference on scene? So these are some of the initial tasks upon arrival of a structure fire. You have your interior fire attack, which, as I said right now, legally cannot begin because we're below the OSHA 2 in 2 out requirement. With 4 on scene, we can begin immediately on our own. Command and size up. With the way we are now, potential for the battalion chief to be pulled into suppression. With the proposal, we would have a dedicated command with a crew of 4 still. Water supply could be delayed until backup arrives, where now it could be established right away because we would have a second apparatus responding. Forcible entry is pretty much always delayed, and with 4, it could be immediate with the 2 individuals on the truck. That's kind of one of the truck's responsibility is for forcible entry. Search and rescue is not possible alone unless it's an immediate rescue. It could be possible with a dedicated team, and then ventilation is really never possible with the initial staffing, but it could be possible with the crew, and more than likely would be handled by the mutual aid response. This doesn't mean that 4 firefighters can handle every fire alone. This just means that the initial response is more capable, safer, and more effective while additional resources are responding. So this is what the proposed staffing deployment model would look like. So you can see that the engine still has a company officer, and our company officer is the captain or the engineer. So we'd have a company officer with a firefighter paramedic because we want to maintain a paramedic-based engine for ALS response. When all ambulances are gone, we could still have a paramedic respond and assist aid right away while we're waiting for transport from another agency. The new thing, we would be able to staff the ladder 24/7 with a company officer and a firefighter. And then all 3 ambulances would now be non-safety paramedics and non-safety EMTs. With the 4 sworn on fire apparatus, it would meet our OSHA 2 in 2 out minimum on our initial response. No more waiting on mutual aid to begin interior fire attack. So take that same scenario and add the proposal, and you have this. Now, we would have 2 on the engine, 2 on the ladder. So 4 firefighters always here, never pulled to an ambulance duty, always able to meet the 2 in 2 out requirements, and all your non-safeties would be on ambulances. So a lot of times it's not just fire calls, right? So I would imagine some of the questions could be, well, if they're not ambulances, what are they going to do? Good question. There's a lot of stuff that they do that they're not able to do right now because the majority of their time is spent on an ambulance. Those would include training and skills maintenance, so live fire drills, multi-company drills, technical rescue. They can get into technical rescue, and these are the reps that keep them sharp and ready to respond. Fire prevention and inspections, business inspections and plan review support that routinely get bumped every day. I mean, ask Chief Milligan. They get bumped all the time. He has a list for the crews, and they just don't get done. So he has to go out and do them. Pre-incident planning, building walkthroughs, target hazard familiarization, hydrant maintenance and inspection, which is critical to our ISO rating, and knowing the district before the call. So knowing our first in. Public education and community engagement. There's been numerous times where they've been pulled away for calls. Now if the engine get a call, the ladder truck could still be there and do school visits and safety classes and community events. Daily rig checks, hose and SCBA testing, hydrant maintenance, etc. That's the routine everyday work. They all do daily rig checks regardless. That's a #1 priority. Some of the hose testing and some of those things in ladder testing and stuff have been kind of not up to speed because of them getting pulled away. They'll pull out the hose machine, they'll start testing hose, and they get a call, and everyone's gone. In this case, if the engine and ambulance left, the ladder company could be able to do a lot of this stuff. And then physical readiness, mandated fitness time that directly affects safe performance on the fire ground. You know, we don't want overweight firefighters. We want fit firefighters that are going to be able to do the job. So this is kind of the routine professional work of a fire department. Today, ambulance transport regularly displaces it. So under this proposal, it wouldn't. All right, the nitty gritty. So what is it going to cost to get there? So currently, 3.4 is the total cost of firefighter and non-safety personnel from both general fund and IGT, loaded cost with benefits and everything. So that's total personnel cost. Proposed would be 3.9 with the proposal. That's a $462,000 difference before any offsets. Now the offsets. Right away, we wouldn't need per diem staffing anymore because all ambulances would be covered by full-time employees. So $282,000 a year in per diem savings. One thing to consider, the ladder truck is paid off this year. There is no more ladder truck payments. So I know it wouldn't be a permanent thing. It's not in perpetuity, but there is $165,000 a year available for that. And then potential for Huron lease to be avoided, and that'd be a $55,000 savings. So taking away the ladder truck and the Huron ambulance, your net new cost is going to be about $180,000, and that's fully funded, proposed cost minus the per diem. There's a potential for the $125,000 this year with the Huron lease, and some other things too, like we wouldn't need to buy extra sets of turnouts, we wouldn't need to buy radios. There is some cost difference between benefits of firefighters and non-safety. So there are some other things to reduce that number. And then if you take into consideration the ladder truck payment next year or for 2 years or whatever, and then it, you know, you don't use it anymore, you have the potential to get this down to about 15,000. So what's our next steps? So tonight, council direction. Receive presentation and provide staff direction. In the following weeks, we'll be meeting, as I believe the process has already begun, to reach out to bargaining groups because this implementation will require a meet and confer process with each group. In the following months, we hope to do recruitment and hiring. Recruitment and hire 12 non-safety positions. We don't need to hire any firefighter positions, and that's kind of why we're at this point now is through natural attrition, we've got this fork in the road of where we're at now. We either go this way and fill the positions, or we go this way and we implement this new staffing model. And that's the only way we're able to do it right now. If we had additional firefighters, if we had any things, we wouldn't be able to do this. This allows us not to have, the 15 firefighters we have now are the 15 firefighter staffing. So it doesn't cause any layoffs or anything like that. So the only hiring is the non-safety positions. And then about hopefully month 6, we would have training and rollout, onboarding new hires, phasing the ambulance coverage, and then staff the ladder. So I'm very well aware of recruitment challenges. We've been dealing with it for a while. So this could be one risk associated with this proposal. If we don't get the paramedics and EMTs that we need, what do we do? We have contingency plans in place. There's hybrid models we can do that we can discuss. But I will keep monitoring that closely and keep the city manager and you guys well updated on how that process is going. And if we need to come back, we can come back to you guys. So why is this the right time, right investment? Well, one, safety compliance. We'll meet the OSHA 2 in, 2 out minimum with our own on-duty staff every shift. The community impact will be full continuous coverage of all 3 ambulances and a fully staffed fire department, 2 on the ladder, 2 on the engine. Fiscal responsibility, about $125,000 net cost this year if you count the Huron, otherwise it's about $180,000. Could possibly drop to 15, like I said, with the ladder truck, realizing that it's not forever. Recruitment and retention, so dedicated fire and EMS career track, easier to recruit and retain. Employee morale, firefighters focused on suppression, and EMS staff will have a clear mission of their own. And lastly, long-term sustainability. having two separate divisions that can be scaled based upon needs is critical in the fire service we live in today. So kind of in summary, our call volume has essentially doubled. EMS volume has more than doubled. Our current deployment model uses firefighters to meet that EMS demand, and when ambulances are committed, firefighter availability can be significantly reduced. From 2016 to 2025, the department saw 81.5% increase in total call volume. That our current staffing model has not been able to keep pace with how the workload has changed. The proposed model maintains 3 ambulances, provides dedicated EMS staffing, and keeps 4 firefighters assigned to fire apparatus. It is intended to separate EMS transport staffing from fire suppression staffing so that the community can have ambulance coverage while also keeping firefighters available for fires, rescues, vehicle accidents, and other major emergencies. You know, ultimately, this proposal is about safety and readiness. We don't get to choose when the next structure fire, vehicle rescue, cardiac arrest, or major emergency occurs. What we can choose is how prepared we are when it happens. Our EMS workload has grown significantly, and we have an obligation to make sure that meeting that demand does not unnecessarily reduce our ability to respond to the next emergency. This proposal is designed to keep our ambulances staffed and available while keeping firefighters assigned to fire apparatus where they are needed. Yet there is a financial component to this decision, and there is a staffing component to this decision. But the standard I believe we should measure this against is simple. Does this make our community and our employees safer, and does it leave us better prepared? That's what this proposal fixes, tonight and for years of growth ahead. And that ends my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right. One, thank you for the very detailed proposal. Wow. Excellent. There's a lot to go over. There's a lot to think about here. One question I have, kind of on the slide, you had said that it came down, I'm a little bit confused. Maybe you could even go back to the slide that talked about the 180,000.
Yes.
Does that 180,000, is that including the 165 plus the 55?
Where are you at? No.
Well, if we
No,
go
it'd be
back and look.
it could be 180 reduced.
Well,
no.
see, but what it says is,
So the 180 is just so this is why I gave you this paper.
uh-huh,
So this paper shows that with the per diem reallocation, the difference is 180. That's net. That's going to be net. The other two are options based off of here on lease and potential for the ladder payment. But the net is 180,000, and that is only including the 282,000 per diem reallocation.
okay.
So that was my question as well, sorry to interrupt, but that 180 is the actual budget impact.
Yes, sir.
Not looking at anything else, that's
That
how
would be
much
your
more
net,
this is gonna
yes.
cost.
That is the worst
okay.
case, that's the worst case scenario, yes, sir.
Obviously, you know, especially since Measure J is on the ballot right now, right? I've always done this with everything we've ever looked at. I look at things in 10-year spans. This is 1.8 million over 10 years with the 180K. I think we have over there, it's listed that we do 13 million in Measure J. This would take 1.8 million of it, if you look at it in that aspect. I've also paid attention to where that IGT, how do you feel about IGT? Do you feel like that, because, I mean, different people talk about IGT differently. Some people say, hey, the IGT may not have its great impact that it's having now, and then it might go away. What do you think about that?
We haven't heard too much yet. There's rumblings of certain things going throughout Cal Chiefs right now, but nothing concrete. I don't see it going away. I don't see it because I believe that it's legislation just like PPGMT is. Could there be reductions? Sure. It's federal government, and there's a big pot, and the federal government could take the pot at any time. I can't predict what could happen there for sure. But like I said, I don't see it going away.
And is this, and I'm just asking, I think these are expenses, so they aren't really looking at revenues. This isn't dependent upon the new ambulance revenue, is it?
No.
No, okay. So that's actually a plus. Do you have, how long has the new ambulance revenue been in place?
July 1st was the new rate increase.
Okay.
I can tell you that we brought in 3.6 million and we budgeted 2.4.
See, these type of things matter to, like, when we're looking at this moving forward, like how much money are we taking in extra from that revenue that could be, because when I look at this and I say, wow, 1.8 million over 10 years, what happens if Measure J doesn't pass? But also looking into the fact that there's a revenue model with the ambulance side that is going to bring in more money as well, it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about this type of thing. But I'll open it up for the rest of the council for questions and whatnot.
My main question was the impact to the budget, just straight out 180, so it's straight 180,000. I'm totally not against this. It makes absolutely good sense. It's just a lot to soak in, in a lot. In the end, that's a big number. Like you said, over 10 years, 1.8 million. We don't have to do anything tonight, right? It's like, what are we looking to do here?
So, personally, I would like to have, maybe give us one more meeting to take this in, so that we can.
And I'd like a copy of the slides if I can.
I'd like a copy of the slides too, and then I think myself and I think myself and Mayor Pro Tem Schindler do have a dinner with the fire department coming up soon. So maybe we'll get some personal insight with them and as well. I mean, I haven't been out there for a while, but I do want to give the rest of the council time to comment on this.
No, you said exactly. The multiplier over the 10 years of Measure J is the number that was concerning. But like Chief said, the revenue they bring in, so.
I think we're also looking, I think the main takeaway is the fire suppression coverage that's not being met now. And that's something we need to consider. And when we make staffing changes and deployment models like this, we do a lot of work. There's a lot of research, data and stuff that goes into it. And, I always say if it doesn't benefit the community, if it doesn't benefit the department, or it's not fiscally responsible, we shouldn't be looking at it. And I felt that we met all three with this. And it kept coming back to me of, if, as a community member, would I rather have 4 firefighters on scene right away or 2? And that's kind of what made me really deep dive into this proposal. And like I said, this is something that's in, you might remember the annual report last year. I brought this up in my strategic plan, and we thought maybe this is going to be 4 or 5 years down the road. And then natural attrition, vacancies and stuff, we got this fork in the road now where we either need to go this way and fill all these vacancies, or we need to look at this deployment model. And so I wouldn't say it's time critical, but right now we're not filling those vacancies. Right now we don't have those positions because we're waiting to see which direction we're going to go. So, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. Feel free to come over to the office one-on-one, sit down, talk. I mean, I'm an open book, full transparency. I'll tell you everything. I truly believe, I've been in the fire service for 24 years. If I were to start a department today like Avenal, this is what I would do. I think that our call volume on the EMS side has drastically increased to the point that the traditional fire service model is not working. And we need to evaluate and look at something different, and we have that opportunity. And other agencies are looking at it, but they're stuck because they would have to lay off firefighters. We're at an opportune moment right now where the firefighters we have are the firefighters we keep. And so that's just, kind of my 2 cents on things if you care.
Just have a quick curious question. You mentioned that if you have 2, you can't go in, and if you have 4, you can go in. What's your policy on going? Would you guys normally go in? I mean, go in no matter what?
We can't.
If you had 4.
Right now, so here's the thing. We can only go in on a civilian rescue. So if we had a known civilian rescue, like they said, my baby's inside, or like we could see a body or something, that's a civilian rescue. This is what we signed up for. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go in and we're going to save that life at the risk of our own. Legally, any other situation, we can't. And the reason why is if a firefighter gets hurt, if somebody gets hurt and OSHA comes in, they're going to say, did you have your 2 in, 2 out established? And if we can't meet that, then we have OSHA to deal with, and that's a whole nother problem.
Yeah, and that makes sense, but say you do have your 4
Yes,
or more.
yes,
Is your
We're going in.
policy to go in?
Absolutely.
That you're not even gonna think about it?
absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because we would have the 2 in, 2 out established, and so we would be able to get on scene, pull lines, pull hose, have the backups, and go in. We're not waiting for a mutual aid engine. We're not waiting for additional responses. That fire's not growing and doubling in size over time. We can get in there and knock it down, potentially saving property and reducing the risk and exposure.
Okay. I was just curious. I'd heard stories in the past where, well, firefighters,
Yeah.
they don't have to go in, or
No, we've
they're
heard that.
not gonna go in. I mean, you hear so many things, and
That's
I
not
just
true.
wanted to clear that up.
This
so.
is what we do. This is what we signed up for.
Yeah.
You know, every one of those guys risked their life because this is what they signed up for.
What was some of the factors, some of the reasons for the balloon and call volume? We're going from a couple hundred, 2016, 10 years
Just-
later, now we're doing 30, the same.
Yeah, I know.
Population hasn't changed too much.
No, it's just more people are calling an ambulance. We also added Huron in 2022 or 23. And so that increased as well. And then our ambulances cover, I don't know if many people know, but our ambulances cover 1,200 square miles outside the city limits. It's a huge response area. I mean, they are everywhere, you know, and they have a very, very large area, and it's just population increases. So they cover Huron, they cover the Harris Ranch area, they cover the city of Coalinga. They can get pulled into Avenal, they can get pulled into Monterey County line if they needed to. I mean, it's just, I feel like people are calling the ambulance more and more these days, and most of the time it's mundane, routine things.
That's what I was gonna ask. I assume you track calls, right?
Absolutely.
As far as.
Oh, I know, yeah.
You have 100 for a fire, you have.
Yes.
100 for broken ankle.
I can even break it down into how many calls we're running per zone.
I'd like to see, I'd like to see those numbers. I'd like
Okay.
to see, you know, that's a huge jump. I mean, it's 10
Yeah.
years, you're 2,000 calls annually. I want to see, you know. where
And it's not just us, it's nationwide. It's nationwide. It's probably an average of 3% everywhere you go. It's just nature of the job.
Well, I'd like to propose that we table this for maybe the next meeting, because I'd like to look at the revenues that you guys are bringing in and kind of extrapolate on those. And I want to work with Mai and Sean, and that way I can feel even more comfortable about this. You gave a great presentation. You know, in the past, I've paid attention. We've had a lot of fires, specifically in my district, on East Pleasant, where people sat and watched their properties burn to the ground. And they were very unhappy because they're like, I could have went out there with a water hose, right? But the 2 in, 2 out policy has prevented a lot of things from happening. And then also not having enough staff to do the testing of the lines. Right, the lines, that's a huge deal. Like, we weren't able to test some of these lines, and we had 2 fires on East Pleasant Street where the lines were clogged. Now, granted, we got that stuff fixed because we worked with the city and Public Works, and we replaced those lines, but we would have known if we would have had staff to be able to do that. But when you have firefighters on the ambulance, you know, so I've always been in support of this type of staffing model. I just want to do a little bit more research on the revenue, make sure we can support it, especially look at contingencies of what happens with Jay. But I'm going to manifest Jay is going to pass. We're going to get this done for the community. And I think we need to start thinking like that and talking as it's going to happen, because it is going to happen, because we have a great plan. We have a great staff. Council, I think we have a stellar council, and we have a great city treasurer. And I think everyone working together can get this done. So if you guys would be okay with it,
Yeah,
tabling this
I
for
just
one
like-
meeting and bringing it back?
For sure, I think it's a lot to chew on.
I'd like to throw a couple questions
Absolutely.
and
Yeah, I'd prefer
comments
that.
to you.
And did anyone else have a comment? Did you want to say something?
Go ahead. All right, so I guess just a little bit that just looking at this. So, the sworn off personnel here, that's, kind of the things that stick out for me is just, obviously they're off the ambulance, right? And that's a little bit more time for themselves to sleep, to rest, be prepared. and just to be better trained and fit, correct? There's gonna be times where things are just at idle, but with that being said, it's more preparation that's gonna take effect. So what is the daily minimum staffing right now in comparison to?
Well, right now, because we haven't moved forward with the additional hires, we're six per shift, 6 minimum daily.
6 per shift, 6 minimum daily.
Yeah.
2 dedicated.
So two on the engine, 2 in an ambulance, 2 in an ambulance.
So that won't change with this new one, right? The 6.
Well, so the proposal, so we were at 7 and, the new budget was 7 and 6. The proposal is 6 and 5. Or no,
6 and
5
5.
and 4, sorry.
5 and 4,
5
so
and
it's
4.
5 minimum now.
Yeah, so the 5 per shift, 4 minimum daily to get your 2 on each apparatus. That still beats our discussion about the budget of reducing overtime because of the 5 staffing, 4 minimum.
Yeah.
That was the purpose of the 7 staffing, 6 minimum.
So with that being said, are the vacancies, are they gonna go away or are they gonna be floating still?
The firefighter vacancies will completely go away.
So in an event where something happens and a non-sworn EMT is not, can't make it or whatever, are they gonna be mandated?
No. So that's the good thing about separating the fire division and EMS division. We're now gonna have 18 individuals to call upon to fill those ambulance shifts versus 6 or 5 right now, because we have a vacancy, versus 18. And then you also have Mando on the EMS side. So the Mando would be on the EMS side.
They won't have a shared responsibility clause?
That's a good question. That's something we'd have to look into.
A union contract, gonna be union employees.
Yeah, and that's part of the meet and confer process that we'll
Write
have,
that down.
that we'll be doing with the bargaining units,
Because that,
shared responsibilities.
So who, so who's gonna be the hierarchy there?
As far as,
When you have non-swear officers, non-swear paramedics and non-swear EMTs, and let's just say they both all arrive in the CNL, who takes control?
well, the captain ultimately, the captain is the one in charge of an incident. If it's like a medical aid or something, and then the battalion chief, if it's a fire.
Got it. So on this proposed budget, are we accounting, like, paying our EMTs and our non-safety more competitive wages compared to private
That's what that
ambulance?
second column is.
Yeah.
Of the new positions. Those are projected numbers.
Projected numbers to beat out any private,
Yes.
right? So that's an increase there. I know paramedics are probably tougher to get, right, compared to EMTs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, those are gonna be 24-hour shifts, right?
Yes.
24-hour shifts.
And I have reached out to a couple of the per diems, just kind of hypothetically, hey, would you ever take a full-time job? And we do have a couple per diems that might be interested. So we could, get some medics from our per diem staff.
And currently, captain officers, we have Hind, Banks, Ramsey, Ziegler, Acosta, and Rodriguez, correct?
Yes, sir.
I think it's definitely something that's unique. It's definitely a separation of 2 different pillars here. You guys you've been a good leader. You've been a good captain, chief. And I think it's gonna require a lot from your team to keep the house happy. I think on both sides. This definitely is unique. We're in a time where you can kind of do this. I think I'm sure you guys already, not questioning, you guys thought about all this very, very precisely, all this.
I don't do anything half.
Yeah, so, it's a
I'm
lot.
all in or nothing.
It's a lot to chew on, just because if you look at what's gonna take effect with Measure J and, the timeline and the cost, but, I think this is kind of unique. I really do. And if I was a firefighter, I wouldn't want to be on the ambulance. I would want to be training and fighting fire. So this is cool. we're gonna have there's a lot to think about here. So I think you answered all the questions, and I believe in the leadership of you and your guys.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so is the direction that we table this till next meeting? We okay with that?
Mayor, is there anything you would like for me to bring to the next meeting? Is there anything I can do for you? Do you want to see different models? Do you want to?
You know, to me, it's really about just whether or not we can afford it.
Okay.
And so, if you wanted to bring some revenue models to match with the expenses, but I understand that the revenue that the ambulance brings in, it goes to the general fund, so it's kind of hard to look at it like that. So that's why I wanted to discuss it with Sean, Mai, and yourself. That way we could kind of get an overall picture, because I know that we can't just look at it as revenue for the fire department or for the EMS division, because that revenue is actually what helps the city out, and we really appreciate that, and that's been how it is. So to me, I would just like to maybe understand, maybe if you sent us a copy of the slides that you had, and then if you maybe sent us also a copy of what what you think that the increased revenue will be over the next, like let's say year or two. That way that we could kind of look at it and we're not only looking at the 180 number, we're looking at like, hey, you know, we're probably going to generate this more money anyways. So that would just make it easier for me to look at. And so if you could get that to us, I think that'd be great. I like the idea. I think it's great. Just need a little bit of time to look at it.
So do you want another discussion, or do you want consent?
I think we can do a discussion. I think what we'll do is we'll get with the finance, we'll get with we'll look at the budget implications, how it actually affects the budget. Because we do have, here's $180,000. This is worst case scenario, by the way. But we'll also look at, as we're coming out of fiscal year 26, what, like the chief mentioned, we saw more revenue than what we estimated in terms of ambulance revenue. And we were, again, somewhat conservative even in this fiscal year, because we are in the first full year of the new revenue. So we'll kind of get an idea of maybe what that looks like to get really a true decision. Because yes, it will impact the budget. But the way we look at it is it's a reset of what our costs of providing this level of service is to the community. That's the way we kind of look at it. So there's a cost of doing that, but we want to make sure that you're fully understanding of the decision you have to make, and whether we can come to you and say, yes, we can afford it. As we know, Measure J, the implications of Measure J, 25% of general fund revenue, that's a much bigger picture, right? But I think whether this can, and we'll talk about sustainability too, with the impacts of Measure J. Because whether we're in this current model now, Measure J goes away, or whether we're in a new model and Measure J goes away, we can identify what kind of potential impact would that have as well.
And that's kind of what we're looking for, I think. That's kind of the stuff we're looking for. It just adds to the comfort level of, you know, we don't want to put the city at a financial risk, even though that we completely understand. I think most of us understand that it is a better staffing model. It will increase safety in the community. I don't think that's the contentious point. I think it's just making sure that we can afford it.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned that the 180 is worst case. Is that considering like if people are sick, they don't show up over time?
No, so this
that
number is,
extreme
so
thing,
the
or?
numbers that I did is based on projected increase in salaries. Also, everyone starting at a step C with a family of 4 with full benefits.
Which is, as we know, when we started
Which-
adjusting
Right,
with
right.
medical benefits, the
No,
budget
that's-
really shifted when we
That's all
started
I
looking
wanted to
at-
know is if
yeah.
it was like, you know, it's a solid, you feel good about it, worst case, or
Yes.
could there be a worse?
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
worst
not
case?
worse than this. I don't
Okay.
think. This is like I said, this is what we predicted is like top step, and everyone's got a family of 4 with full benefits.
And we can provide a little bit more clarity on what the potential impact is for the remainder of this budget cycle, because obviously we're not gonna be in a full year. We're gonna be recruiting if we have to recruit. So there's not gonna be full $180,000 increase to the budget for this fiscal year, I would imagine. But moving forward, we wanna kind of give you guys a good picture of what it'll look like in fiscal year 27.
All
Or
right.
28, sorry.
All right, so there's no vote needed. We're going to table this until the next meeting, and we'll bring it back. Appreciate you and the fire crew for showing up and answering questions and whatnot. And So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And it may be the next meeting, but as we know, it's usually a quick turnaround on these short months. But so it'll either be one of the meetings in September that will come back.
Okay.
So
You just can't retire for a while now.
That was actually when we had our discussion, that was one of the requirements here. Yes. All right, we'll move on to announcements, city manager's announcements.
I have one. Maya already stole my thunder, but you know, I joke. So we put out a release today or yesterday, I think, that City Hall is going to on August 28th. The City Hall, the front office, will be open for limited hours from 8:15 to 12 p.m. Starting every Friday. It'll be limited services because City Hall is technically still closed. Like the rest of admin is closed on Friday, but we'll be able to intake and we'll be able to handle a lot of the front counter functions that folks can do when they need to come in, pay their utility bills, submit for business licenses if they're complete packages, get business licenses issued. So we will have probably about 3 staff available during those Fridays. So we'll be available for folks to come in and do business with the city. I don't think I have anything else, Mayor.
Thank you for that, by the way. That's one of the biggest complaints that I've heard since I've been anywhere near city council, even before, is Friday's closed. So I think the public's gonna appreciate it.
Council members, announcements and reports? Okay. Is the city treasurer still on if she has an announcement? Not seeing any? Oh, okay, hold on. We're going to Zoom.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say I appreciate you all so very much, and I really enjoy these informational interactions with the council and citizens, and you guys talking amongst each other and making good choices. So I really appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a great weekend.
Thank you. All right, mayor's announcements. I have one. As I kind of said earlier, myself and the assistant city manager attended the League of Cities divisional meeting in Visalia. They had a presenter that talked about vehicle miles driven, and well, I just couldn't hold back. I had to tell her that she'd been to 3 or 4 meetings talking about this, where it's basically they're talking about taxing the miles you drive. There's no equitable way to really do this. Places like Lake Tahoe would lose out on gas tax. They had a couple different options. One was to tax vehicle miles driven and tax at the pump. The other one was just make the Tesla people pay their fair share, which of course was a giant bait and switch to anyone who got a Tesla. Thank you, state of California. And then they had a couple others as well. But one thing that she had pointed out was that there was like a $20 billion deficit, and I should have caught it at the time because it was on the screen, but like 16 billion of it was going to climate resiliency for areas that have flooding near the coastlines. And I was just amazed that this is the conversation that we were having, because there was no conversation about helping anybody. It was all just taking more from the people that are already suffering here in California. And I just want everyone to let him know. I think Jesse taped it. I don't know. I told him to cover his ears because it was going to be bad, because I just don't, when people come and for bureaucrats, and this lady wasn't even working for the state, so she's getting paid. She's getting paid from somebody else to come and try and sell a tax to us that obviously I reminded her that the state has not been good stewards of any of the tax money. 25% of the floating gas taxes go to affordable housing. The gas tax money that we're already spending is, we have the highest tax in the nation, worst roads in the nation. It's facts. So, train to nowhere, right? We still don't have things moving in that direction positive. So I just want to tell everybody that I did my best to represent the city and to represent everybody here, that I know that times are rough and a lot of people, most people are having a hard time. It was bad. I told her that well, first thing I did was I told everyone in the room, because she asked if we could all get together and we could all, come up with some ideas, and I said, we all need to get together and oppose this. And I said, this is a horrible idea. We should be completely against this, and the state should come back with a better plan where they're actually having savings rather than coming and trying to ask us for more money. Right. There was a lot of stuff talked about. Yeah. So I just want everyone to know that, that happened, and I did try to go to bat for the citizens of this town and everybody else with that as well. Beyond that, please attend the public workshop that's going to be held at the library in September. I won't be there because I think me and we'll be at the League conference. So that being said, moving on to future agenda items. No? So I just have one, and it's really more kind of it can be looked at as a future agenda item, or just kind of like, we really need to work with the school district on the paving project that's coming up. I mean, I really think it's really hard to get in right now, and drop your kids off. The no drop off to the summer. We've got to figure a way out to do that. I mean, it's already pretty bad. They have a policy you can't you're not supposed to stop and drop your kid. And I'm like, well, how are they supposed to get into school then? Because there is no, I mean, I'm not blaming the school at all. I mean, they're, right. Maybe from one of those shows, right? Drop off
There's
line.
some spending timers on this, right, and things like that,
Well,
so I get that.
we're working with them right now and trying to limit the impacts, but, I mean, it's the nature of construction, but unfortunately, it just doesn't, with construction, it's always difficult to land on certain time frames and start right away, so unfortunately, the plan was for summer, but federal funding, sometimes it's limited in terms of when we get authorization to spend the money.
Well, if we can do our best to work with them and
We will,
try and
for
figure
sure.
out something, that'd be great. Beyond that, we're going to go into closed session. We have 2 items: city manager's performance evaluation, real property negotiations. Do we plan on reporting anything out? No? All right, this part of the meeting is adjourned. Thank everyone for coming. Appreciate it.